Okay, so everybody, it's Devon, Will, and Steve here again, and we'd also like to welcome a guest speaker, Kyle. He's a longtime customer of the store, and he has a lot of
patron.
He also
Yeah, he was the caller for the live stream.
Yeah,
he was the guy who called us on the live stream.
for the
If
first
anyone had the
episode.
mystery, if anyone wondered, if anyone was like, I wonder who that was.
There's that
There's your
unanswered
answer.
question.
We had to wait till episode 3. It took all the way, and now we're getting to the point where I'm surprised that we made it this far.
Yeah.
Oh.
You're-
That was
Surpri-
fun
But
last
it's a
time.
good surprise. Like I'm like, all right, I'm pretty proud of this. We've made it this far.
So,
It's kind of like an X-Files reveal. You had to go 3 episodes into it to get the reveal.
and that is the commentary you can expect from Kyle tonight on certain subjects.
I'm so excited.
So-
Good episode tonight, folks.
I thought we
So-
were calling them issues.
Are we doing?
I thought
No,
we were
we're-
legitimately calling them issues.
Yeah, we could just have it like a running joke, like Silent Bob. Like how Silent Bob's not really silent and all the.
Oh, okay.
You get it? Okay, any-
That's what I
No, we're not talking about the back of Volkswagens.
Let's get it wrong.
All right, so here we go. So starting off the podcast today, we have some big new releases to talk about. The first up is Archie meets Batman 66.
Oh boy.
So we're doing the book is going to be the classic version of Archie meeting the Adam West Batman and Robin team from the 66 Batman show. So I'm expecting it to be very comedic.
I just want Julie Newmar's Catwoman to try to seduce Archie. I think that's going to be the best thing ever.
I think we could have a war between Batgirl and Catwoman as to who gets Archie.
Oh my god, that would be
You
everything.
know, Betty and Veronica style. It would
Oh
be-
my God, this
That'd
would
That'd be
be great.
outstanding.
It would be 2 separate universes. What
Right.
if we
Wait,
got
hold on.
this
Who,
person?
so really, like now that this book's coming out, who do we think would win in a fight? Like if they actually threw down for Archie, Betty and Veronica, or Catwoman and Batgirl?
Catwoman and Batgirl.
Yvonne Craig all the way, man.
Is
Just
that
gotta
a-
go with
is
it.
that a question?
Yeah,
I was
no,
gonna
really.
say.
Wasn't there-
I don't know. Veronica can be a.
Wasn't there a crossover a little while ago where like Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn met Betty and Veronica?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
that's.
like just came out. Yeah, you're pointing to me, our one audience member, our one live.
Oh my god.
Now we're recording in front of a live studio audience.
Yes, that's great.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, I'm just saying. I mean, Veronica, she can be pretty vicious when she wants to be.
Yeah, but Betty's Betty. Her ponytail's too hot.
Yeah, okay,
We're
but hold
also
on.
talking about trained crime fighters. Like,
Yeah.
why have we not moved on to the next topic already?
I'm just saying. I mean, it'd be.
No, to answer Will's question, the reason why is because we have to keep Adam West alive somehow, and apparently it's going to be in these like Batman
Oh,
66.
it's gonna be Batman 66.
Yeah, that's the title of the book. Were you not paying attention? Archie meets Batman. No.
Issue 66.
It's Archie meets Batman 66 #1.
I have.
Oh, okay.
I even just said it's Archie meeting the Batman television show.
Devin,
Let's
who's
concentrate
writing
on
it?
switching up the mic volume.
Oh, huh?
Who's writing it? Because I can't find it.
I just have
Oh,
to
wow.
ask, Will, were you having that terrifying moment where you were picturing Archie, opposite Christian Bale?
Yes, thank you.
You don't know what I've done for this city. I'm not wearing that. I may sound like Clint Eastwood mated with a grizzly bear, but I'll get the job done.
I quit. I'm done.
People look at that and go, "That's my Batman."
I was actually really expecting you to go the route of him yelling at Archie about getting off the set and stop messing up his lighting.
Oh.
Is that
You soulless redheaded. For 5 minutes straight.
You
That's
don't.
gonna be my censorship sound.
You don't.
Kyle beeping.
You remember when Christian Bale flipped out on the set of Terminator
Yep.
because the guy
Yeah,
walked
the
in
guy
his
walked
shot.
in
Yeah.
there, right behind his shot. He's like, "You're messing up. I'm not in the zone. You can't. I'm not in the scene if you're walking behind it."
But don't forget, Christian Bale's a method actor, so it's okay because it was John Connor saying those things to that guy, not Christian Bale.
Does it make it better?
No, it doesn't. That's what he said. Yes,
I'm not
that was his
totally sure-
apology.
Yeah, but I'm not totally sure if I'm hearing right. Did you say he's a meth head actor or?
Oh,
Well, a little
We've all
both.
seen
Little
Psycho,
both.
right? Like,
Yeah,
American
well.
Psycho?
So anyway, next up on the new releases this week of big issues, we've got the final issue of the Infinity Countdown, which is issue number 5. It's leading directly into Infinity Wars which is the summer event for Marvel, summer/fall.
be real, winter. Summer through winter event because it's going to get pushed back. Like they all do.
I don't know. Diodado's usually pretty good. He
Is
doesn't. Yeah, I haven't seen an issue of Old Man Logan get delayed since he's been on it. So I mean, Will, you're big into the Infinity stuff. Are you excited for the new issue?
I'm excited for more saxophone action. I want it. I need it. I need to get this right now. I want it.
I feel like you have to clarify.
Yeah, I'm real confused, real hard.
Well, you don't read
Drax, we talked about that. We yelled about this on the podcast as to whether or not I
Yes,
can talk about
Drax using the
playing
saxophone. Yes,
Drax
yes,
using
that's
the
fine.
saxophone. I just want him to. Well, now that Drax is like, I don't know whether or not how big his involvement will be in the event anymore. So I'm excited to see how Adam Warlock will interact with the Guardians now that he's back.
So, Will, I have to make a point here real quick. Sidebar for this podcast. Since we're not doing like video, they can't see your facial expression.
They got the
So they don't know what your facial expression is that you're trying to convey.
They heard me. They heard my.
But you have to like.
it's just
He's
Garbo.
gone. He peaced out. He was really mad, and now he's out. He was like, I'm done. I'm tired. I've been doing this for years. I'm done with the Guardians, man.
For those of you wondering at this moment, Will is experiencing moments of great meh. So much so that we are calling him the Wizard of Meh.
You are not allowed to edit that out, good sir.
Anyway,
Look,
So-
anything Infinity, all I want right now at this point in time is Howard the Duck wearing the gauntlet. Let's go.
And I don't think is it supposed to be Thanos being the villain? Because he's kind of just like. Bleh.
I don't know. It's Infinity. I imagine if Thanos is going to be the villain.
Isn't it that mystery person in the purple hood with the goggles?
No,
Oh,
it's not
the
Requiem.
guy that shows up at the at the end of Darkhawk, and he's like, "Come with me, Darkhawk. You're gonna be important in this event." And I was like, "Oh no."
I thought he was Dark Starhawk now.
First of all,
No, he went back.
He went
was
back
like,
to just
Darkhawk.
Darkhawk?
Will, why were you not like really around in the 90s where you could voice every Captain Planet villain? Because that's what that voice was.
So actually, you know what? Real quick, I mean, again for the Infinity Countdown stuff. I mean, Kyle, I know you haven't been reading the event, but what are your opinions on Darkhawk becoming a front runner of the Marvel universe again?
No.
And moving on.
Alrighty. So
Did I tell you I loved you? Like I should just tell you this on air.
So
No.
This no statement also coming from the same man who loves Wild Dog. So
Yeah, that's a flashback for anybody keeping track.
anyway, the next big release this week is The Life of Captain Marvel #1, which is a complete
Reboot of her origin?
yeah, essentially
Reworking?
it's gonna be an entire it's the definitive origin of Carol Danvers.
I like the one thing I like. It's still Captain Marvel related. Is that after Civil War 2, every issue I've experienced with Captain Marvel, including the Avengers, the issues that she's appeared in so far, she has not gone a single one without being like, man, I really can't understand why Civil War 2 happened. Like, why did I do that? That was really dumb. Like that was really stupid of me.
Well, we're going to be seeing the definitive origin of her character, which is also it's like being kind of, from what it looks like, it's being told in flashbacks. Okay. So it's her contemporary now, and then her telling her definitive origin, which I have a feeling is going to somehow clean up all the stuff from Civil War II and why she acted out of character so much.
Well, yeah, because she
Bad
keeps going,
writing.
man, I can't. Yeah, it's kind of like they're basically like, without saying, hey, Brian, that was a really dumb event.
Well,
like,
no,
she
you
keeps
well,
going, oh, God, why did I do that? That
Well,
was
yeah,
really, they
because-
even explained to me, like, it didn't make sense. His future visions were not the actual future.
I just
Well,
want to
don't
know...
forget.
Go on.
Well, here was the big thing. I mean, you figure that the original Civil War was Iron Man thrown down with Captain America, and given the state of the Marvel Universe at the time of Civil War II,
Well, they just did it because Civil War was coming out in the movies. They
Well-
were like,
that and it was also the 10th anniversary of Civil War.
oh.
So what a good way to ruin a fantastic story. Do a
It
sequel
was
that
so,
no
it
one
was
needed.
such a good
always-
war, they needed a sequel.
Yeah, but that too, and also the fact that we had to do an event to commemorate Civil War, and we couldn't speed up the story that was the Steve Rogers story at the time, which was the Hydra Cap stuff. So it was just nonsense.
I heard his arc during Civil War II, his tie-ins, was actually a better version of the Civil War II event.
Yes,
That's
an
my
accurate
understanding.
statement. Yes.
I just want to know that for this dramatic retelling of Carol's life, are they going to completely erase the fact that she fell in love with her rapist?
What?
Carol Danvers had a story where she was raped and fell in love with her rapist.
Are they going to
Kyle?
talk about the time that she had...
70s, I think, or the 80s maybe.
It's literally right
Seems a
before
while
she
back.
joined, I believe before she joined Uncanny X-Men.
Are they going to talk about the time her boyfriend impregnated her and then she gave birth to her boyfriend?
I think that was the rape.
Was that the rape storyline? Was that the
I know
same
she was
thing?
pregnant.
Are they
Well,
going to
she-
talk about the
yeah,
time
but
that she
that
was
was the-
empowered by 2 stars?
Captain Marvel's been through the
Well, that's the thing. Like, she has such a convoluted
Or when she was a
story.
drunk.
When she was a drunk.
Can we pick a time period?
Well, yeah,
In
but you know
her-
what?
In
But
her Infinity Countdown storyline, she's going through all the realities of all the different possibilities. There's one where her and Rogue were touching so long that they actually switched personality. Yeah, I know. I phrased it weird. It wasn't on purpose, but they were doing it.
No,
so long that
she
their
was
Touching
personalities got
me.
reversed.
She was trying. No, are you talking about when they first met, where she tried to kill Carol?
Yeah. They did it. They were
Bum,
like
bum,
Rogue was
bum,
like taking her
bum.
powers for so long. She actually switched personalities.
They didn't switch personalities. She just wound up absorbing her powers permanently.
Well, no, I'm talking about in the alternate reality that Carol goes to.
Oh,
she meets
alternate
herself,
reality.
and
Okay.
She's Rogue. She even
Oh.
gets the white
Oh, okay.
streak in her hair.
Aw, that's a
And
fashion
she's like,
statement.
no, you're actually talking
So
about
a
Rogue.
white streak in the blonde hair.
You say red streak in the
White-
white
No, I said
streak.
a white streak in
It
the
ain't
blonde hair.
blonde hair.
Yeah.
Because Carol's blonde.
So wait, so I'm imagining Carol was when was she a drunk? Was she a drunk in the 80s?
No, that was pretty recently.
Yeah, that was before they made her Captain Marvel.
It was after
Oh,
she was
okay.
binary, when she came back to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
She was a drunk for a while.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say because I was
Like
wondering.
Tony Stark 80s level
Yeah.
drunk.
Well, I was just wondering. I'm just wondering if if it was around the same time that they made Hal Jordan a drunk. When he remember he got the DUI and he had to stay in jail for like 60 days or something.
I'm waiting for a current version of what they did with the Titans way back in the day when they, gave Speedy the drug habit problem, and now they're gonna have, a modern team where everybody's addicted to, I don't know, pick your opium product, carry on with your bad self.
To quote Archer, have you tried cocaine?
Yeah, apparently
We in no
Speedy
ways
has.
endorse the use of cocaine.
That is-
However,
No,
we,
no, I was
however,
just
we
quoting
all have
Archer.
heard that it's a bleep of a drug.
Yes. Moving on. So we have another big release this week is the start of the new arc for Quantum and Woody.
oh boy,
So
Bring on the goat.
hashtag Clang.
I'm still excited for the TV show. I didn't know until you brought it up on the podcast.
Oh yeah, the TV
That
show
was happening.
that is happening,
You
and
and I really need to work at getting better prepared for this.
Probably.
Like,
Yeah.
like literally, I'm gonna
That's
text
probably-
you every article that I find that I feel is relevant to you,
Okay.
and just
guys are
see
the
if
worst.
you get it.
Anyway, so yeah, Quantum and Woody. The new arc starts tomorrow, this week, with the new issue. So if anyone's been following it, it's a fun book. It's crazy. It's
The last issue was pretty exciting. Like reality was rewritten, so we'll see what comes of that.
Yeah.
Coming back.
Goat.
You
well,
finally
we
see-
now know what happens when they don't clang.
Yeah, reality just goes no. Not anymore.
Hey, listen, goat with the
Not
laser.
today.
Not today.
The thing that always consistently makes this book amazing is the goat with the laser beam eyes. It's the only that is
correct.
the
Bring in the
running
goat.
greatest
the
thing.
goat,
Are
the
you
goat
reading
hasn't
it now?
shown up in a while.
Oh, okay.
Well, the goat's probably gonna be the one to fix everything because the goat's just awesome.
Yeah.
Thank God for a goat.
The goat hasn't really done anything in this new run.
Does it have to, though?
What are you talking about? What about the
You,
entire
sir,
issue where it
take that
when it
back.
gave birth?
Well, that was a flashback.
Wait, it gave
Yeah.
birth to what?
It gave
More
birth to their
goat?
dad.
It doesn't matter what the goat has
Yeah.
or has not done, sir.
Yes, the
The
goat.
goat is everything.
The
I was
goat
just
is
explaining,
the
like, I don't
goat.
think it's ever done
Here's the fun
anything
thing.
other
So
than
here,
flashback.
just dropping some knowledge on everybody out there. If this doesn't get you to pick up the book, I don't know what will. The goat with the laser beam eyes is their dad. It's their dad's consciousness in the goat. But the goat with the laser beam eyes happens to be a female goat that's also pregnant that gives birth to their dad.
What kind of acid trip did you just explain?
Oh, it's great. It's a lot more sense than that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle nonsense from the 90s.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
I have no idea what you're talking about, but okay.
To quote a recent movie, the 60s were a lot of fun, but now I'm paying for it.
What movie was that?
I can't say we'll
We
get
can't
sued.
say that. It's a spoiler.
It's still in theaters. We'll give it that.
Oh, I'm assuming it was. Then. I'm just gonna go on
I'll
that
leave
limb.
that out with that new censorship.
Does it
Wow.
matter?
Don't ruin things. The lines from the
oh
movie.
my
Come
God.
on,
I didn't
man.
say who says it or
Yeah, I guess.
I'm assuming
All right.
Michael Douglas there. Now I
Anyway.
spoiled it.
Anyway, we have the next big, the final big release of the week is another new #1, which is the Injustice Gods Among Us from DC versus the Masters of the Universe with He-Man. Will?
All right. Yeah, I'm a big Injustice fan. I've read both year 1 and 2, and I've played both games, so I'm pretty. I like Injustice for the sole purpose of like it's its own universe. They can do their own thing. It's kind of like the Ultimates, where it's like it's a different thing. We're letting it do its own thing, but you still have your regular comics that will never change for you.
Given everything you've told me about the Injustice universe, because you've read most of it, I can't believe that DC even lets this book not be rated mature. Like all the horrible things that happened to the Green Lanterns alone.
Yeah,
I
that's
just-
pretty.
How's
I-
the only one that still that lives and is responsible for most of their deaths?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, everything you've told me about what happens to some of these characters, the gruesome, brutal deaths in this book, the fact that it's
Especially
not
year
rated
one.
mature, that is not like a Vertigo book at this
Yeah.
point is
Or it was-
astounding to me.
Year
I mean-
2, I think, was the Lantern arc.
Yeah, but with it being like the Masters of the Universe, I'm trying to picture, the old '80s toys and all the different characters from the cartoons, right? Trapjaw's going to get his jaws ripped off, obviously. Triclops is going to have all of his eyes poked out.
Oh.
Or Superman will just burn him free. What's he going to do to Merman? Give him to Aquaman and let him be his play toy? I mean, what are we looking at here?
I'm not
This is
sure.
just ridiculous.
They've crossed over the regular DC universe with He-Man before, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, okay,
if
hold on,
He-Man's
wait.
gonna show up and then be like, "Oh, it's you guys. Oh, half of you are evil. What?"
Yeah,
But,
but hold on.
this is like Thanos versus a kitten. What the heck's the point?
Yeah, really, because you're looking at this like this is like a one shot. They're making this like a 6-issue miniseries. This is literally like a one.
This is a kid.
First off, really back to it's Thanos versus a puppy, and that puppy belonged to John Wick. So things aren't looking too good for Thanos.
Thanos is gonna snap. That's all he's gonna do.
He doesn't have the gauntlet yet.
Oh my God.
Anyway, but back to the Injustice thing. It's a one shot because what are they gonna do? What's Superman gonna do when he gets there? He's gonna destroy everything. This is an
Well,
evil
no,
Superman.
Superman's in prison. He's not out. He didn't come out
In the
Or is it-
regular Injustice book, but he's in this
Is this
book.
supposed to be a sequel of Injustice 2?
I
Is this
don't
supposed to be
know.
springboarding? It depends on when it takes place in the timeline. The book coming out right now takes place between games 1 and 2. Because you have the 5-year comic that runs before Game 1, then Game 1, then the comic that's coming out now, which is the year gap between 1 and 2, and then the second game. So I don't know where this is supposed to take place, or even if it's in continuity with the Injustice storyline. But whether or not I'm excited,
Well, considering
only because I'm not a fan of He-Man or anything. I don't know anything about He-Man, but I have a friend who does, so it'd be fun to like.
By the
see that
power of
happen.
Grayskull, how do you not know anything about He-Man? Anyway,
Other than the generic pop culture.
One of the
references.
guys, his big power was being able to grow his neck to like giraffe length so that he could see over stuff.
That was weird.
Yeah, he really wasn't doing so great in the whole power scale thing.
I see super.
well, at least it's
exactly. Yeah,
well, it's a lot
exactly.
better than Gene Simmons' superpower, which is to make his tongue grow as long as he wants it to.
I'm not going to comment on
It's
that.
kind of hard for a man
I
that
feel
tall.
like they're equally useful.
But it's kind of hard for a man that tall to be able to rock platforms that high. That's all I'm saying.
I guess.
So
Like,
give the man his due.
Gene Simmons, I mean, we all know what he was doing.
This podcast is rated PG-13 for suggestive themes. Moving on.
This is what happens when Kyle
moving,
joins us.
Moving on.
It's all your fault.
Anyway,
It's all because of you.
so those are the
Didn't
big
do this.
new releases.
Wow, we just breached 20 minutes and we're already past the releases. We're getting
Nice.
better. at
Yeah,
this.
we are. It's really good.
it's because Kyle's
Um,
here.
So, yeah. So
I'm
those
the
are the big new
taskmaster.
releases for the week. I mean, there's plenty of other releases. So make sure to make it out to your local comic book store.
Yeah, this one.
The address is in the About section. Go look it up.
What, was that too blunt for you?
I said to their local comic shop. What if they don't live in New Paltz? What if they don't live
Or
in
New York in general.
Yeah, what if they don't live in New York? Or
Fly out. Come see us. That's what I said in the last
not
one.
even that, not even that.
No, you said this for them to come meet you at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Like
I said both. I said
Okay,
both.
anyway, what they can do, Devon, is they can call the number and become a subscriber and you'll mail it to them.
And then you can get 10% off on your new books.
Bam! Product
What a
placement.
great deal! What a great deal! And I
create-
don't even work here.
Creating a brand for you, Devon. Yeah, I'm going to throw that word around a
oh
lot.
my god. Anyway, moving on to recent comic book news.
brand.
Secretly, I think Steve wants to brand Devon, but you know.
I just had to. I'm sorry. Please continue.
Okay, moving on. So we have some big X-Men news in the comic book universe right now. Most notably is the new teaser poster for the X-Men Extermination miniseries coming out this fall. That's going the purpose of the miniseries is to clean up the X-Men timeline, put the original 5 younger versions of the X-Men back where they belong. But an interesting teaser poster came out this week, which is it's a poster of a person holding Cyclops' visor. A lot of people are guessing that this is going to be the return of the original, currently dead Scott Summers, with the tagline underneath saying "Set it right."
Yeah, personally, I'm hoping that he resurrected Scott Summers and killed him again and took his visor, but that's just me.
Well, I'm not a big fan of Scott Summers. Scott Summers has a lot of problems. He's had a lot of problems over the years, and honestly, it's really honestly, I mean, probably ever since the Dark Phoenix saga.
I'm gonna give it a good clap though, just because they're putting the X-Men back, which they should have done like
yeah, but you
a
don't
couple
need,
years
You
ago.
don't need Scott for the X-Men.
But what I'm thinking they're probably going to do is because the whole motive behind bringing them into the future was to make Scott see like, hey, you're like a huge now. Could you
No,
please not?
that was not the motive.
Yes, it was.
No,
Yeah, it was.
what-
The
That's why
motive.
they shot him.
No, the motive was for Beast to. He realized something was wrong. He thought they could fix it.
Did you
Yeah,
read the?
there
Hold on,
was
wait,
something
stop
wrong
for a second.
with
Stop,
Cyclops' psyche.
stop, both of you. Did you guys read Brian Michael Bendis' all new X-Men run?
Yes.
Okay, we'll reread it again because Beast's whole point of bringing the original 5 to the present was to show them what they turned into, so they could go back and not become that,
Boom.
and to show Scott what he was doing wrong by meeting his younger self.
My
That
way
was
seems
Beast's
better.
whole point.
But
don't know.
I'm
I have-
assuming now that Scott's gonna go back, there might be some kind of weird time reset where Scott's back and he's like, "Hey, I'm not a huge meanie."
Well, he
I have so many objections, though, to all the horrific writing that's been going on with the X-Men for about, I don't know, 8 years-ish. You know, when the MCU started to really crop up and they started to go on their Inhumans kick, and this is what we're gonna do. Here's our projected movies, and oh wait, nobody likes the Inhumans because they just suck. So
This
now we
podcast
have to
saw the
fix
face of Devon.
everything. Now we have to go back and fix everything. Oh, we've got our X-Men back. We've got, Spider-Man back. We've got all these things back to be able to use them in the movies again. Now we've got to go back and fix everything that we've screwed up so
again, I mean,
royally.
this honestly, my opinion for the longest time has been, there's no point in having both versions of them. There's no point in having an adult version and the younger
No,
version.
I agree.
At this point, I've always been a big proponent of kill the adult versions of the original 5. So they time corrected it so that way the X-Men didn't have to go back because time fixed itself and they already existed again because time created new versions of them, which is weird. So at that point, just kill the older versions of the characters off,
Well, most
and
of
just
them were dead at that point.
yeah, and just have. I mean, Angel was a vegetable.
Yeah.
Scott's dead.
Jean
Jean
was
was
in the white room.
Jean was dead.
She was in the white hot room.
Jean was dead.
And guess what? She's back.
Yeah, but
Either way,
bad writing is bad writing, no matter what. It's that same theory as bad news doesn't get better over time.
Yeah, but the thing is, like,
fix it. The only way to
Yeah.
fix it is to get rid of a lot of this
yeah,
stuff.
but again, you could have, if you really wanted to turn around and streamline it and say, hey, the original 5 are gonna be the original 5 again. Fine, then get rid of the older versions of the characters. Just stick with the younger versions. There you go. That would have been fine. Would have been clean cut. There would have been you could have done all that in the Death of X book. They could have gotten the Mpox. They could have died. You could have done away with the original 5 adult versions in Death of X, and they didn't. And then, now we had the resurrection of Jean Grey, which is, look, as far as I'm concerned, X-Men Gold, Blue, Red, all the new X-Men books have been solid books. They've been solid storytelling. They've been solid character building. It's what the characters were back in the 80s and early 90s, which is I'm fine with. I like those characters. I like those versions of the characters.
Don't we have another X-Men book coming up soon too?
Yeah,
X-Men
actually.
Black.
Yep, then there's a new X-Men book also coming out this fall called X-Men Black. That is going to be a team led by Magneto.
Hooray.
We don't have a creative team for it yet. We don't know who the roster is yet. But as of right now, it's a Magneto-led
Gonna
book.
be edgy '90s X-Men.
Well, I'm wondering.
Or is he going to be Zorn again?
Oh my god. I'm wondering if Weapon X is going to be canceled.
No, Weapon X is probably going to turn into X-Force.
Well,
And
I
are
was-
they the Black Team? I mean, like the Black
that's
Ops team.
No, that's actually what I was meaning
Yeah.
because most of those people would have been on Magneto's Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. So I'm wondering, is X-Men Black
Well, we
just
don't.
going to be?
Well, I
we
don't-
don't have a lineup yet for X-Men Black.
No.
do we?
No, but that's
No,
what
but
I'm
we're
wondering.
speculating. But the thing is, but another big thing too is, they're launching, X-Men Red's still going,
Thank God.
but Gold and Blue are both ending in
Okay.
September. So why are we launching another X-Men color book instead of just relaunching the books that everyone's expecting? to
Color-coded
read?
X-Men books now at your local dealer.
No, but really, why aren't we relaunching the books that people are looking for? Why aren't we relaunching X-Men Legacy and Uncanny X-Men? Those are the books that sell. Those
We're
are the
doing
titles.
colors now, Devon.
Pick up your newest copy of Harley Quinn Puce now at your local distributor. I mean, come on. What's up with the color
Shirkwas.
thing? Let's just do it or not do it. Plus, do we need 95 people on a team?
No.
All
Wait,
teams,
wait,
by the
wait,
way,
wait,
have
wait,
to have
wait. No.
Wolverine in them.
Hold on, I just got a notification that X-Men Forest Green is coming out
Oh my God, Jim Lee's writing it,
early
right?
2019, probably. I
Oh
don't
my
know.
No,
god.
Jim Lee's an artist.
X-Men Turquoise.
He also
At least he
pretends
was
to be
an
a
artist.
writer. He pretends to be a writer.
X-Men Mauve.
Anyway, no. So
Ooh.
so we have a
I
lot
buy
of that
all
going on.
of
There's a
these.
lot of stuff going on with the X-Men. I mean, we'll see what happens.
X-Men
I mean,
Plum Crazy Purple.
Featuring Hulk shorts. That's what
Psychedelic
they're-
X-Men now in plaid.
I think we're getting that though for.
Good
I
lord.
think that's what they're doing for Astonisher.
but seriously, I'm.
Yeah, they have Astonishing's going too right now. They have like 4 X-Men books, right?
You know,
They
yeah,
always.
And 5 counting
Mr. and Mrs. X.
Yeah, Mr. and Mrs. X, and now 6 coming out with Black.
Yeah.
Why don't you just cancel half of them and make a title that's nothing but Legion
Why
and
do you
Phoenix
hate
hanging
me?
out together?
Oh, I'd watch that.
That would be outstanding.
I'd
No, no.
rate that.
The
but
level of insanity between those two powerhouses would be
I'd
brilliantly.
support that.
But here-
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah, I
Could
dig
you
it.
No,
write
but,
that?
but Will,
I don't know if I
to your
could.
point, you're right. Right now we've got X-Men Gold, X-Men Blue, X-Men Red, Astonishing X-Men, Mr. and Mrs. X, and now we're gonna have X-Men Black. That's 6 main titles,
Jesus.
kind of, sort of.
Yeah,
but
but
we're canceling 2 of them, so we're down to 4.
Yeah, but X-Men's always had the
Which ones are getting canceled?
Blue
red
and Gold.
I'm sorry, blue and
Blue
gold.
and gold, yeah.
But X-Men's always had that, like 8 list book list.
Yeah, but again, you had. But look at what they were back in the day. You had
Yeah.
the 2 actual titled X-Men books.
Mhm.
You had X-Men, which turned into X-Men Legacy, which is
Yes.
fine, and then you had the flagship book, which was Uncanny X-Men. Uncanny X-Men dealt with the school. It dealt with everything
Yeah.
that was going on at the school, and the other X-Men book was the away team, was the people who were always out doing stuff, and the Uncanny X-Men stories focused on stuff that was happening at the school or cosmic, anything really big in the X-Men reality.
Right,
And
or
then-
you go to the time of like the Fall of the Mutants, where you had 3 books with a possible 4th every once in a
Yeah,
while.
And then you had
But-
Inferno.
Yeah,
Right.
but then you
and
then,
that felt like pushing it sometimes.
Yes.
Well,
But you-
Inferno blended into everything.
yeah. But then in the 80s and 90s,
Demon Hobgoblin.
yeah, you had it was the 2 main X-Men books, which were always going to be the 2 staple books. Then you had X-Force, which was Cable's team,
X Factor.
and X-Factor, which later on, when they actually made it the detective agency, was kind of cool. So if you stuck to those 4 books,
Don't forget about Excalibur and New
Yeah,
Mutants.
you had Excalibur. No, New Mutants dissolved.
But it was
New
around
Mutants
for a good
became
long while.
X-Force.
Yeah, yeah.
So-
What else did you have? You had another one too, and I just can't remember. Oh, then in the 90s, you had all the Age of Apocalypse things.
yeah, but Age of Apocalypse was a separate reality where that was
Right.
for 2 months.
But what
Was
what
it 2
also?
months?
Yeah, it
It
was
was
only
2
It
months.
literally feels like
It was 2 or 3
It felt
months.
like it was for about 8
Now,
years.
with that being said, I do want to note I do love me some Age of Apocalypse.
Right.
But then look at that. After Age of Apocalypse was over, after the 3 months or so, they came back, they recalibrated X-Men, and it went back to the 4 main titles. It was X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, X-Force, and X-Factor.
What was the teenage team though that had Skin and Monet on it?
Generation X.
That was Generation X.
Generation
See,
X.
see, can't
See?
forget that one.
Yeah, but that was also a product of its time. That was a 90s book, and that was Jubilee's team.
Yeah, but it lasted.
And it was bad.
Wasn't Generation X the Banshee Emma Frost
Yep.
thing?
Yeah, it was Banshee Emma
Oh,
Frost.
I saw the pilot for that.
That
I
was terrible.
watched it.
Oh, God bless
I put
you.
myself through that.
We were just talking about the
Wow.
book. Bad enough.
Yeah.
You watched
So-
that? I pity you.
It's
Did
on
you get
YouTube,
compensation?
You can just
Yeah, no, BT.
I think there's a
Dubs.
class action lawsuit that you're allowed to join after you've watched that, where you get some money back.
So-
Fairly
BT
certain.
Dubs, the girl playing Emma Frost, is in General Hospital too,
Oh,
and she's the
nice.
mother in Charmed. She's their mother, Fiona Hughes.
Wow. I didn't even bring it up this time.
You're welcome.
3 podcasts in a row, and you did it
That's
yourself.
what I'm gonna do.
Let's go.
I'm
Anyway.
gonna do
Well,
this.
By
No,
the same token,
no,
before
I
she
did
was
it last
on,
time too.
No, you didn't. I brought it up again.
No, you didn't. I brought it up because I told you he was on General Hospital. D.D.
But-
Williams was on, or whatever his name was on GH.
Billy D. Williams, man.
Yeah, him.
Come on.
No one cares.
Anyway, so given the obviously
Lando Calrissian, who also used to do advertisements for Colt 45 malt liquor.
We were talking about
Trademark.
talk about that. Yeah.
anyway, so now given everyone hearing the different debates we have about the X-Men books and everything else, for anyone who wants to go back to a simpler time of X-Men, Kyle, there's going to be a new
Where Wolverine only appears in one book.
And there's only one of them.
Please. And there's only one of him.
There's a John Byrne, one of the the big creators of X-Men, probably one of the creators that made X-Men what it was today. He recently talked on his online about
He and Claremont were basically gods at one period of time.
well yeah
Yep.
yeah
His
And
personal online.
on his personal message boards for his fan forums. John Byrne is going to be doing his own version of what X-Men should have been after issue 136. Actually, after 137, which is the end of the Dark Phoenix saga. He's as of right now, he's stated that he is not killing Jean. Scott's not leaving the team, and he's gonna do the book as if Jim Shooter, and I'm quoting this, if Jim Shooter never worked his ego into their book.
He can call it X-Men. What if Jim Shooter wasn't a big pain in my butt?
It's actually called X-Men Elsewhen. So anyone who wants to go back to a simpler time of X-Men and forget everything that's happened for the last 30 years,
It could also
you
be
can
like X-Men.
you can
What
go
Had
back
Happened
and you can
Was.
read John Byrne's new online-only forum-based comic, X-Men Elsewhen.
My question is this going to be like a story where Jean and Scott actually made it work? That's my follow-up.
Well, honestly, to be fair, everything that happened to Jean and Scott, everything that really happened to the decline of Scott Summers started in Dark Phoenix.
Can they raise their kid for more than 2 days without having
Send him into the future.
catastrophic
Kyle, I gotta talk into the microphone. I don't know if it can.
Don't forget,
No,
it's
it's
not don't forget it's not him and Jean's kid though.
Yeah, it's Maddie.
It's Madeline
Madeline Pryor,
her clone.
Oh.
Ugh.
One day we're gonna have to do a podcast of the history of the X-Men.
I'm gonna dress up like
and
Maddie
gee,
Goblin Queen.
That's gonna be fun. Please don't.
It's gonna happen.
Please
It's
don't.
gonna happen.
Alright.
It's
Is
gonna
this
be
going to
No.
be one of our
That-
special live
no.
ones?
That
Yes.
slightly
No.
disturbs me.
Anyway, so that's all the X-Men Corner Universe news. Oh jeez.
No, not you in the costume disturbing me just because nobody can see what we're responding to. The reality is that I'm just going meh to the whole idea of Madeline Pryor. It was
I
just,
love
oh,
Maddie.
good lord.
Madeline Pryor was fine right up until they made her the clone of Jean Grey to
She
get
was
rid of
fine
her.
right up until like every good woman Scott has.
It-
he
it-
messes with her.
That whole thing.
He messed with her. What do you mean mess? He just left her in Alaska with their newborn child.
So he could go chase after his high school sweetheart.
Yeah, it's not. There's no. It's not like he was like ghost. Like it wasn't like he was gaslighting her. He just left her,
That reminds
which was
me of
you
one
know.
of the best.
No, Scott's not smart enough to gaslight somebody.
It's one of the best moments of X-Men history I've seen. I watched it
I
through
think I know what you're talking about.
the cartoon-esque, like the motion. Yeah, it's motion comic they did. It's on YouTube if you want to watch it. It was the I think all new X-Men run that they did. Astonishing X-Men. They did the motion comic for that on YouTube. It's really good to check it out. There's a scene where Scott and Emma end up spending the night together, and they wake up and Wolverine is squatting at the foot
It's
of
the
their
first
bed,
issue.
and he's like, "What stage of grief is this? Denial?" And Scott just blasts him out of the mansion, and it was my favorite moment. I was like, "Good job, good job, Wolverine."
There's also another great one at the end of Morrison's run where Jean encourages Scott to move on, to which he shoves his tongue down Emma's throat right on Jean Grey's grave.
Nice.
Yeah. That's a great
Scott is
moment.
Just a great.
Scott's a piece of garbage, and why is
Scott-
Marvel bringing him back?
Scott
Garbage
Summers
human.
is
Garbage
Garbo.
human.
Hey, so listen, this is really where we have to. You know what? This is how they should fix everything. All right.
Kill Scott forever.
Unwrite him from the timeline.
No, really. You wanna-
Infinity Gauntlet in the hands of somebody that actually cares. Unwrite Scott Summers.
So you want to fix all the X-Men problems, everything that's happened to Scott and Jean and all the other woes of the X-Men. X-Men Extermination, since they're mucking around with time, should go back and change the outcome of the Dark Phoenix saga.
Scott Summers
There you
versus
go.
the Daleks.
So you know what? That's the thing.
Exterminate.
John Byrne.
We're
All of
getting
a
it.
sudden, we have time traveling X-Men, younger versions of the X-Men going back in time to their own time, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the end goal of X-Men Extermination. And now all of a sudden, John Byrne is online drawing a series of what would have happened if Jean didn't die in Dark Phoenix Saga.
Yeah, but Claremont said for years that he never wanted Jean to die.
That's fine. But what if John Byrne's just putting up pages for a project he's doing for Marvel?
That could be possible.
What-
Like I said, this could be them kind of rewriting a little bit of the history of the X-Men right now. A reboot without rebooting,
Yeah,
if you will.
but that's the thing. You have, it's not like they haven't done it before. House of M.
Yeah, but
You
that
could-
wasn't a part.
Yeah, but you can go. I mean, they've also done it with Age of Apocalypse, where they rewrote the entire. That's how
Yeah.
Age of Apocalypse happened. They killed Charles before he formed the X-Men. So if you go back if they go back and stop Jean at a certain point with the Phoenix Force, it could rewrite all the history. It'll change everything, but with the Marvel Fresh Start and all the other books getting relaunched, the characters will just be the memories of the characters. They won't remember anything else.
I don't know if Marvel will do that.
To quote one of
not?
my favorite
Because that would make
philosophers.
Hunt for Wolverine a little like
That would make all of this so
yeah.
irrelevant.
that would make that event because he may have just survived this whole time. He may never
Right.
have never died, and Hunt
But
for
y-
Wolverine would be
Yeah, but
completely moot.
Hunt for Wolverine would still happen because he's still everything that happened to Wolverine is outside of what was dealing with the X-Men.
All right,
That's a possibility.
But what you just said involves so many different ifs in there. I'm going to
Yeah.
go right to one of my favorite philosophers, Jane Cobb. Might know him from the really nice TV show about people out in space, and I kind of enjoyed it. A little too short, but
Is
it's,
this the
if wishes were horses, we'd all be eating steak. And there you go. Let's just leave it at that. I mean, how many
Hey,
ifs
look.
can you have?
Speaking of ifs, there's a new.
That was a really good segue.
Speaking of ifs, Marvel is also relaunching an old series this fall.
What if, baby?
Yep, the
Bring
What
it
If
back.
series is coming back.
Oh yeah.
We've got 6 one-shots coming out this October. They're going to be there's 6 one-shots. Going to be spotlighting a bunch of big Marvel characters. We've got Spider-Man, Punisher, the X-Men,
Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider.
And as an old fan, I'm really hoping to God that they do a 7th title that's called "What If We Hadn't Done This Last 12 Years of Nonsense."
I don't think you're going to be. That
Anyway, you also have What If Thor. The What If Thor actually sounds really interesting. It's actually that story is going to be about if Odin had lost.
died. Yeah.
If Odin had lost to the king of
Right,
Jotunheim.
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 Yeah, I'm sorry. I pronounced the word the way it looks.
Jotunheim.
I
That
mean,
wasn't on purpose. I thought that was a joke.
I was
No,
going to
that's-
No,
say,
that actually
It's
was
not
on purpose.
are you like Darcy from the original movie? You can't pronounce Mjolnir, so you have to say Mew
Meow
Mew.
meow.
Oh, look, it's Mew Mew.
It's meow
Meow,
meow.
Ugh.
I love Darcy.
I like Darcy too.
Oh.
No, I'm saying he can't even say, yes, I'd like to go to Jotunheim.
Anyway, so it's Thor being taken to Jotunheim to be raised by the Frost Giants.
For yoga. Go on. Continue.
No, Udaheim.
Oh, my God.
Why don't we call it Yodel time?
Devin, continue your conversation,
Please
my
do.
friend.
He's going to the Frost Giant world.
There you go.
What's it called?
And
Jotunheim. Hey, do you remember how to say that Superman villain, the guy that was from the, what was he, the 8th dimension, 9th dimension, 54th dimension, whatever the heck?
irrelevant imp character.
Little imp guy with a purple hat,
I don't
boulder
even know how
hat.
to say
Oh,
his
Mr.
name.
Mr. Mixius Pidlick.
Anyway, so Thor gets taken to the Frost Giant world to be raised by the Frost Giants, and Loki is still, of course, bitter about Thor, which sounds kind of fun. The Punisher, what
That
if?
sounds really
The Punisher,
cool.
what if sounds really good. It's what if
Spider
Peter
Punisher.
Parker, after letting the burglar go, decided that he was going to kill criminals, and he takes up the mantle of Punisher. Yes.
Kill everybody.
His web shooters are guns. It's
That's
awesome.
pretty cool.
It's amazing.
I'm kind of digging the artwork for that one so
Well,
far.
it's
I
one
wanna
of the
see
classic
it.
covers from the original
Yeah,
series.
I'm just saying, I really
For
want to see
Spider-Man
it.
or
Yeah.
for
For Punisher, it's one of the original. It's him. It's the same cover of where he's falling backwards in an alley with trash cans. And he's
Yep.
got 2 guns.
You're
Yep.
gonna have to find it to post them side by side.
Oh yeah.
I
Yes,
might send
no, I
them
got
to
it.
you. The other one that I have mixed feelings about is the X-Men one.
Well, it's very digital.
Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
They literally look like Major and her little sidekick that I can't remember his name. That's how it looks.
Yeah.
That's how it looks.
But see, I never had a problem with the what ifs, and one of the reasons I
No,
always
they're fun.
loved them, they're so great because of the fact that they were a way for you to address the idea that there might be other things out there, there might be other avenues that could have been taken, without ruining the entire character by making Falcon Captain America. There, I said it.
Oh, that
That's
went.
a bit topical.
The only thing that I wish that they were doing with the what ifs was making it maybe for like some new writers and new artists. To
Well, it
do
is.
Is it? Because
Yeah.
Ryan
Yeah.
Hill's
It's a-
doing the X-Men one.
But Brian Hill's also still up and coming. He's not
Right.
stable.
Is he?
Yeah, I mean he has Detective, and he did.
Not
you
for
know,
long.
Anyway,
No, like literally, like he's not on the book for long.
well, I think he's gonna be he's gonna be one of the rotating writers.
are they doing rotating?
Yeah, because they
for
don't
that
have a
book?
set team yet.
Oh Jesus.
But
I mean,
Marvel always used to be really good about that. They would
Yeah.
differentiate between their stories. I mean, you had one where what if Frank Castle killed the Marvel universe?
I saw that.
And it was kind of fun. It wasn't.
That
It
wa-
wasn't a what if
that wasn't a what if, that
specifically. It
was
was a
just-
one shot.
But you
yeah,
also had, like-
but it was like a what
Yeah.
if. It was
But-
exactly
but
the
here's
same
thing, though.
setup.
But you know what? You know what's also really great about the what ifs though, and I know, and Kyle, I can already. This is going to be a debate between you and me
Ooh,
personally. But the thing
brace
is
yourself.
that you've got great. You look at a lot of the really great what ifs from back in the day, and they're stories that have actually carried over and
Sure.
become part.
Yeah.
Jane Foster is Thor. That was a
Right.
what if,
Right.
and it's been a great story.
And you know what? I've said it 1,000 times in the shop or to anybody else who wants to have the conversation. Jane Foster as Thor. Never had the slightest problem with it one little bit. The only thing I ever argued with was the mistreatment of the original character.
Okay.
I didn't care for that.
What
Jane
was the
Foster as Thor was great, but just all of a sudden the fact that Thor, Odinson, is now just a
because he's
bumbling
unworthy.
idiot who can't get anything right, and he's
Yeah.
all, oh, woe is me, oh, I've lost my arm, oh, I suck,
mean,
oh,
was
everything
to-
else is terrible.
To be fair, I mean, wasn't Thor in the original mythology just a bumbling drunk who kind of just
Well, he is a bumbling drunk in the original mythology.
Not as much
but
as
he's
Hercules.
also,
Oh,
but
no,
he's
no.
also just about the toughest guy around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, I understand where you're coming from with that. But at the same time, I mean, one of the other things too that Jason Aaron did really well. It wasn't just that he did something that made him unworthy. It was that he didn't believe that the gods were worthy. Like that was one of the big things about his run.
What
and-
was the reason why Thor was unworthy?
because he didn't believe in it anymore.
Because original Nick Fury whispered certain words.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
in
Nick
his
Fury
ear.
whispered, and like
thing-
we
there-
waited
there was
3
a-
years
during-
together.
during
He
one of the
basically
s-
told him the God Killer guy was right.
Yeah,
Whose name I can't remember for the life of me.
I think it was Gore. It was like G.
Yeah, it was something.
like that. But essentially,
Okay.
what was going on in Jason Aaron's run was that, you know, it was Thor. I mean, we find out later what it was, and it was the fact that, you know, he fought the God Killer, and the God Killer's whole thing was that the gods don't deserve to be prayed to. They don't deserve to be worshipped. They don't deserve any of this. They're not worthy of it. And you know, and when you look at a lot of the pantheons and look at, you know, especially in modern times, at least in the Marvel universe, the pantheons really don't do anything anymore. They really have kind of forsaken, you know, the human race and or whatever other races pray to them, which is why the God Killer goes around killing the gods. And that's what Thor wrestles with for most of when Jane Foster wields the hammer, is that when Nick Fury tells him that the God Killer was right, you know, it hits home, and he kind of was sitting there going, you know.
And for those of you not familiar with the storyline, we're talking about original Nick Fury, i.e., fought in World War II Nick Fury,
not his son,
not Sam Jackson Nick Fury Jr.
Yes. So the
well, yeah, that's right before they retconned him.
Right.
yeah. So they had so that's the big thing, is that Thor's been wrestling with this, is that, you know, is he worthy? What makes him worthy? Should the gods really be worshipped and praised for not really doing much else than being there? And
Yeah, but I mean, the whole issue of worthiness, though, with Thor is just been beaten to death. You know, the horse is there. It's on the side of the road. We all acknowledge the horse exists.
Yeah.
Still kicking.
Does everybody need to keep walking by and kicking the darn thing?
Oh.
Can we leave the horse alone?
Poor,
It's
poor-
dead.
Poor Penelope.
Right.
so I mean, yeah.
You know,
so,
and if it hadn't been for a horse,
gonna go
we
there.
wouldn't have spent that year in college.
if it hadn't been for our horse, we wouldn't have spent that year in college.
Knew you were gonna go.
Oh.
There. One of you was gonna.
So
do it
when,
once the horse analogy came up.
So for anyone out there,
How's your hospital?
Just turn to whoever you're next to and try to rationalize that one. Otherwise, your brain will shut off. Anyway,
It's a
so,
little bit like trying to smell the color 9.
Smells like home.
Let's move on.
So anyway, the another interesting piece of news coming right out of Flash 50 is the speculation that the character of Wally West, the original Wally West, red hair kid, you know, he's been wrestling with a lot of different stuff going on. You know, people finally starting to remember him. Him. No, really, that's what's going on in the story.
I know. It's so funny.
The sad
so-
part is you say that, and that's my Flash. Like,
Yeah,
Wally
my Flash
West
too.
is my
My
Flash.
Flash
Wally
too.
West-
People starting to remember he exists.
And
People
it
starting to remember he
bothers
exists.
me.
Like he shows up with Iris. They don't even do like the little like lightning effect that's been happening whenever somebody remembers him. He like touches them and the little lightning zaps them and they're like, "Oh, I forgot all about you. Oops." And he
Wait,
still-
who's that other guy calling himself Wally?
Don't
Now-
go there,
Oh.
Kyle.
Now
Devin,
they're starting to differentiate
go
it in
there.
the universe and calling him Wallace. One of them, I think it's the
Well,
newer one.
the idea, the way Jeff Johns had to clean it up when he did the DC Rebirth was Wally, the original Wally West, and the current.
Hashtag my Wally.
Oh.
Wow, man!
Hashtag
No. What you just said, I want you to remember this. It's not a hashtag.
It's a
All you
pound sign.
knuckleheads that
My
use
Wally.
hashtag, right? Yeah, pound my Wally. That's what you just said.
This is gonna have to
Wow.
get edited.
Wow.
Holy
please,
crap!
Please, if they're Satan, Buddha, Allah, I don't care.
Is there something we should
No
tell your
curse
girlfriend?
words were said.
Is there something that we should tell your girlfriend about, you wanting to pound my Wally?
No, I
Come
I-
on, man!
She's supposed to be listening to this one.
She's not gonna listen.
God.
She just humors you.
Anyway,
My grandma and her cat promised to listen.
Did they
again,
really?
so the thing was is that the original Wally West, having been out of reality for a while, and the current Wally West, who is of African American descent, they are both named for their grandfather Wallace West.
Yeah, because
That they
Iris
share?
had two siblings that
She had two
kids
siblings. She
that
had
were
two
named
brothers.
Wally.
The brother who is the father of the new Wally West was the estranged black sheep of the family.
Really?
He became
That's
the-
what
Is
they
that
said.
what you just used as phrasing?
It's the actual.
That's gonna have to be edited out.
It's the actual quote from the book.
All right,
What are you
look,
gonna do?
look. Again, it's another one of these situations where you've got the cast going on the Flash television show. You couldn't have gotten a better casting choice than the guy who's running as Joe West on the show.
Yeah.
He's
He's a
delightful.
fantastic actor. The guy can sing, he can dance, he can do everything. He does a great dramatic read. He has comedic timing. He's
Yeah.
fantastic. You couldn't have done
He
better
was
there.
great on Law and Order too.
Right, he was fantastic on
Gotta
Law and
throw
Order
that
for
out there.
years. The point is, though, you've got him. So therefore, it made sense that his daughter, and then by extension later on, his son, were going to be African American. Makes total sense. Why the heck they wrote that into the comic books where you already had a Wally West who was established for over 40 years doesn't make sense.
Also, Iris was white.
Yes, for over 40
Okay,
years.
hold on, stop. Okay, now again, the you also have to remember this is all big problems from the New 52 debacle. That DC is trying immensely hard to either fix and or erase certain points of it.
Just forget it.
Yeah, no,
Just
it's
forget
fine.
it happened.
Wally's back, okay, but now the spinning out of Flash 50, Wally West, the original Wally, who was also called Flash, is potentially retiring from the role. Will, what are your feelings on that coming off of Flash 50?
I've never been a super big fan of them doing the thing that they explain where he's like, I still want to be a superhero, but I don't want to call myself. I don't know what to call myself. And Barry looks at him and he goes, "You can be the Flash." And he goes, "What?" And he goes, "Well, you're not the Flash. You're a Flash." That's stupid. Now you have two characters literally named Flash. What?
When you already had.
Yeah. Like,
Haven't-
So now we're going for 3.
Have it become Savitar.
It's
Just let that happen.
Just ridiculous.
How dare
Oh,
you?
but hey, and spoiler alert for those of you who haven't read it at this point in time, we also got back another one of our Flash characters.
I don't know if we want. Do we want to bring that up right now? Or do
No,
we
no,
wanna-
I wasn't saying. I wasn't saying who.
Yeah.
We did
Okay.
get back another
Okay,
Flash
okay.
character.
All right, that's we'll go that far. I'm excited to see what happens with that. I'm
Yeah.
super pumped.
Well, that's a big thing because as far as I can tell from what he says at the end of the book, he remembers everything.
Yeah.
I
But
mean,
he
he-
doesn't care. If I remember correctly, he busts out and he's like, "Don't care, I'm back, whatever." And I was like, "Wait, what?"
Well, no, he says I don't know if you remember me, but I'm back.
So that'll be interesting to see
Yeah.
if everybody remembers him.
Well, I mean, he's one of the biggest.
So everybody is trapped in the Speed Force, if in that regard, because he does escape the Speed Force.
Well, I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot of. I think the Speed Force is going to wind up working big into the Doomsday Clock story.
Probably, which is weird because we're like halfway through it already, and Flash hasn't even like.
We're
come
more
up.
than halfway.
Don't forget we
have like 3 issues left.
of what?
Really?
Doomsday?
No way.
It's
Clock.
issue 5, dude.
Yeah,
we're
it's
on
only
issue-
7.
12.
No, it's 12.
12.
Oh.
I was like, wait a minute. that doesn't
Wow,
sound
man,
right.
it says it right on the book.
Yeah, it's like 5 of 12.
5 of 12. Anyway, so I think the other thing too is like don't forget like one of the big factors of Doomsday Clock is the JSA,
Yeah.
and Jay Garrick is still trapped in the Speed Force as far as we know.
In the button, Jay Garrick comes down and he's like, "Hey, Barry, remember me?" And he's like, "No, who are you?" And then he just leaves. And I
Well,
was
that's
like,
the thing.
"Oh, that's
So we're
that
gonna-
was all for nothing."
So I have a feeling that once all the speedsters are released from the Speed Force,
Johnny Quick.
I feel like there's going to be a big shift in what everyone in the DC reality remembers.
A little bit of Max Mercury.
Probably. I think Doomsday Clock.
Max Mercury.
Doomsday
Max
Clock,
Mercury.
Doomsday Clock is just going to reset
Was it?
everybody's memory. It's definitely going to be a reality shifting.
Max Mercury. That was Jesse Quick's father, right?
No, that's Johnny Quick.
No, don't you know Harrison
Oh,
Wells
okay.
is her dad?
Stop. No, who was Max Mercury? Was who? He
Fair
was the
enough.
mentor of who? Who was the? Was he the mentor of Bart?
Yep.
Was he Bart's
He was
mentor?
Bart's
Okay.
mentor for a good long while.
That's right. Okay.
You know,
That's
the
what the relationship.
philosopher slash, used to live with the Native American tribes speedster. He's the
All right, that's fine.
he's the hippie speedster.
but
It's kind of
at the
hilarious.
End of Flash War, they kind of leave it in regards like he's like, screw everything else. I'm gonna go do my own thing. I gotta go find my fam. I gotta go find everyone I remember. Gotta go find my fam. And Barry's like, all right, whatever. I'm gonna go back to the city. And then bleepity bleep character comes back and he's like, back.
Also, this issue did prove one thing once and for all without any doubts, any questions whatsoever. The whole nonsense about the Flash racing Superman is the biggest bunch of hokey nonsense ever. The Flash is so much faster than
Oh, yeah,
Superman.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
It is
But-
ridiculous.
Now here's the other thing too. Now I mean Wally West. I mean now I know you haven't read a lot of the old school stuff, Will. Like I know you have like cliff notes on things. You know certain key things that have happened.
Yeah.
But I mean Wally West. God, this character doesn't get a break.
No.
I mean back when he was the original Kid Flash.
Yep.
Back in the '80s, he had a heart condition he had to quit being Kid Flash.
They brought it back.
Yeah.
They brought it back in the
Judas
Titans
contract.
crossover
Yeah.
event.
Or no, Judas. What is
I don't
Judas?
remember.
It was Judas something, but they did it.
What's
they
the
did it
original
during
storyline?
Rebirth.
The original story was Judas Contract.
Yep.
But this one was
I don't remember, but
can't
they
remember
brought
either.
it back because Damian
Yeah.
goes back in time.
Yeah.
and
Well,
he's
okay,
like-
so he's got a heart condition. At one point in time, he's just as fast
Yeah,
as
because at
Barry
the
because
end
he's
of-
No,
siphoning
he's
Barry's
faster.
power.
He's faster than
No,
Barry.
then he's faster than Barry. Then he loses the ability to phase through things. Then he can phase through things, but every time he does, they explode. So on and so forth. Then his metabolism goes totally insane, and he's got to eat like 9,000 pounds of food a day just to keep up.
well, but
I mean,
but-
it gets
Yeah,
weird.
but don't forget there was, and then don't forget the time when Wally lost all his memories.
Yep.
He was wandering around. He was a bum. He didn't know who he was.
Yep.
Which is also the same thing they did to Green Arrow for a little bit, but that was only because Hal resurrected him
God, I
poorly.
really can't remember
While
the story.
Wally just needs his Linda.
Yes. Yeah. God, let's let Linda and Wally be happy again.
Oh yeah, Linda doesn't remember him.
Well,
Yep.
she also doesn't want to. She won't touch him because she thinks it's weird. She won't like.
Well, she thinks he's a. She thinks he's a nut job.
Anyway, so yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on with the flat. I mean, Wally West is just my heart goes out to the character. I mean, there was 5 years where he wasn't even there. I mean, wow.
He's a straight up fantastic character. He didn't need to be rewritten. You don't need two versions of him.
Well,
That's
and then-
where my objection's
but then
always been.
But then they also did the same thing with Donna Troy, because Donna Troy was gone for 5 years too.
Yeah.
And when they actually brought her into New 52, where she
Yes.
was a villain.
Yes.
And then when they did Rebirth and they fixed her back to normal Donna Troy, she had to in the most recent arc before they ended Titans, she had to fight evil Donna Troy.
Yeah, because she was a villain. It was her from the future because she apparently goes nuts because they redid it so now.
So what do you lay odds on the idea that they'll eventually have Wally West versus Wally West in an all-out battle for the soul of, name of, comma whatever of Wally West, with the one that loses becoming like another new version of Professor Zoom or something.
Well, no, don't
Nice.
forget.
Like Professor Zoom's Kid Zoom.
That'd be
Super
interesting.
Well, the other thing.
That's what the newer Wally is worried about. He's like, am I gonna go nuts like my dad? I don't know. Maybe.
Well, don't forget in the future, in the original New 52 Futures End series, Black Wally West does become a villain.
Yeah.
He has that silver and red, he has that silver and red costume, and he's a villain.
Yeah.
And he tries to kill Barry.
Well, yeah. There's that, and then
Name a Flash that hasn't tried to kill Barry.
yeah.
The original Wally West.
No, he tried to kill him because in the
Bart
most recent
Allen.
arc before Flash War, in Grodd, he was possessed by Grodd. So technically,
I'm
he
going
tried to
with
kill
Bart
Barry.
Allen.
Bart was not there for that.
Bart has never tried to kill Barry.
Well,
Barry's-
yeah, due to the fact that without Barry, he wouldn't exist.
Exactly.
Well, now you're just getting into semantics. Sometimes the principle of the
What
matter
if-
is more important than
But
existence.
if time recorrects itself and recreates Barry, so that Bart still happens to exist at that time,
Stop.
are you getting it?
Just
It's
stop.
an X-Men
Nobody
reference.
gets to have the
How
X-Men's
stupid that
bad
is.
writing outside of the X-Men books, okay?
Steve, the new creative team just got announced for Wonder Woman starting in November. That's going to be G. Willow Wilson, who she's made her name writing the Ms. Marvel character.
I'm just surprised that Marvel's let her do this.
Well, she doesn't have an exclusive.
I'm shocked that she doesn't.
I'm surprised that she doesn't have an exclusive with DC writing one of their
That's what I
flagship
mean.
characters. But also the artist on the book is going to be Kerry Nord, who he is from Dark Horse Conan fame and Exo Manowar for Valiant.
It just means we're gonna get a really rough look at Wonder Woman, and I'm super excited about it. Like not like rough, like I mean like rough, like she's gonna look.
Like a barbarian.
Yeah, and I'm super.
Well, that's the
pumped
thing. I'm
about that.
wondering what kind of stories we're going to get because with his art and everything they're doing, I wonder if we're going to be getting more of like a George Perez style Wonder Woman book again.
Well, and Auric was always so beautifully drawn, when Exo's in his earlier form before he has the armor.
Yeah.
I always thought that was absolutely beautiful artwork, personally.
But yeah, no, that creative team, it's. I'm going to be interested to see how she writes the character because aside from Ms. Marvel, I haven't read anything else by G. Willow Wilson, so I don't know how she's going to write Wonder Woman because Wonder Woman's not a teenager.
No,
And the Ms. Marvel character she writes
is a teenager.
Camilla Khan is a.
and not that I doubt that she'd be able to do a good job.
No,
but they're
I just
two
want to
completely
see
different characters.
Yeah, I want to see what her story. I mean, it must be a pretty good story for her to land.
Wonder Woman.
The actual book.
Yeah, and I know how weird this is going to sound for people that have known me for years and years, but I'm actually looking forward to the idea of having a decent female writer in charge of such a female iconic character.
That is a very interesting thing to hear you say.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because guys are guys, and we do the things that we do when we're writing. We do the things we do when we're role playing, or even just projecting onto other people. A man's mind is not the same as a woman's mind when it comes to this sort of thing, and what we're going to create is not going to be the same as what a woman would see as important. So
Yeah.
I think it could be a really great take on Wonder Woman, who's had some runs and some great runs over the years.
Well, don't get me wrong. I mean, you look at. I mean, I didn't mind Greg Rucka's recent run of Wonder Woman. I thought it was okay. I mean, it was fun, but I'm not. I still say the definitive run on Wonder Woman, the best run on Wonder Woman was the George Perez run.
Yeah.
Was the 80s run
Right.
where she's actually fighting Greek monsters and myths.
Is this
And-
post-crisis where nobody remembers who she is?
Yeah, it's post-crisis.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It was only the first couple of stories.
But Perez was just so good.
Yeah.
Just
super
so
pretty.
I mean, he
Good.
drew and wrote that book.
Yeah, and it
Wolfman touched that book at all too?
No,
or
it was just
That
Perez.
was just Perez.
It was Perez. It was just Perez by himself for a while.
That's interesting.
And then I think he just took over, I believe, either writing responsibilities or I think he took over just writing responsibilities for a while. But
Yeah.
it's the iconic run of Wonder Woman.
right. It's well written. It's not necessarily showing the artist's actual personal perspectives on anything. He's trying to write to the character.
Oh yeah, definitely. And he's writing to the character's strength. She's part of Greek mythology. Why wouldn't she be fighting gods and goddesses and monsters? From that time.
Kicking the crap out of a harpy.
Yeah.
Come
Fighting
on.
Medusa or a Medusa. I can't remember if there's only ever one or multiple.
There's multiple.
There's multiple. Okay. But now,
I think
however,
it's Medusa and the sisters Gorgon or something.
It might
Like
be.
yeah.
that. And then you got other creatures that turn things to stone too, like cockatrices and whatnot. Some weird stuff.
The other thing too about George Perez's run, I mean, he really, there was no holding back when he created that, when he was doing the character's origin. It was, Wonder Woman was created from the at least the way he wrote it, the sorrows of all the women in the world who had been wronged. And that was mainly because after, I believe it was Hercules, right? Was it Hercules who assaulted Wonder Woman's mother?
Yes.
Brother.
Hippolyta?
My God,
Hippolyta.
every time I try to say her name, it almost comes out as hepatitis, and I want to punch myself every time I do it.
Don't
The
forget.
mother of Wonder
Oh,
Woman.
and by the way,
It's
just,
hepatitis. There
just
you go. Great.
because the internet
Wonderful.
has made this a
Hippolyta.
reality.
Hippolyta.
Hippolyta in
Hippolyta.
English means Martha. So
So.
Oh, I quit. That's
Get
it.
out.
I'm out.
Get out.
No.
We're best friends now.
yeah,
What did you say?
That is literally the ending of the Deadpool and Punisher crossover. That is hysterical.
That's also what Thor was whispering to Thanos after he hit him with the axe.
You should have aimed for my Martha.
Oh.
wow.
Oh.
That just took a weird turn.
All right.
Did he name the gauntlet Martha?
Moving
I
on.
don't know. I don't know where that joke went. I'm just gonna put a picture up of Thanos' face just going.
Martha, just having Martha.
The one from the meme where he goes, "You should have aimed for my nut."
What?
We named the
Dude.
dog Indiana.
Okay.
Where did that come from?
Where
what
did
was
that come
what
from?
was that?
What was that
I
about?
got the reference, but I mean, it's.
I don't know where.
All mothers are Martha. The dog's Indiana. Let's just carry on.
Moving on. What's the
Okay.
next topic you
So we got here you go. So Kyle, this is going to be real big for us. They're making a new RoboCop movie. It's called RoboCop Returns. It's going to be directed by Neil Blomkamp, the guy who did District 9. And it's going to be a sequel.
Well, I'll buy that for $1.
There we
It's
go.
going to be a sequel to the original RoboCop movies, not the
Not the
remake. No.
That is interesting.
Yeah, because the
They're
reboot was,
Halloweening it.
yeah.
They're everythinging it.
They're, that
Is
Many
Peter Weller going to
franchises.
play RoboCop?
Not many.
I really hope
Is
so.
Peter Weller going
I
to get
re-
back in the armor?
Oh man,
Come
if
on.
Peter Weller does it, it's gonna be amazing.
Well, that would make sense if
You
they're
know-
doing it like
Ancient
now.
cop.
This
You know-
is it now.
You know what? No, I want them to do the same thing I suggested that they do for Spawn. Steve, you got me on this one.
Spud.
We should have a new actor in the armor, have him act the character, but just have Peter Weller voice over him.
Oh yeah, no, I'm there.
Much like
I'm
Keith
there.
David for Spawn. Like, sure, Jamie Foxx can play the character, he can be there in the costume and everything, but that voice should always be Keith David.
Yes.
So we're Darth Vadering it.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Hard yes.
Yes.
Full on all
Some
the way. Don't
names
tell
you
Jamie
just
Foxx
can't
until
get
This
rid of.
is CNN. I mean,
There
Adam
are
Owen.
some
Bell
names you
Atlantic?
can't get rid of.
In more recent news, with the new Ant-Man movie out, there's been a lot of talk about what's been being called the co-creator debate.
Ooh.
One of the former big creator at Marvel, Dave Michelini, was recently interviewed about how he felt about the co-creator tag for certain characters, namely some of the characters he co-created, which were Scott Lang, Taskmaster.
Ant-Man, very
And-
topical.
Yeah, Scott
Oh,
Lang.
that would be
Scott
Scott
Lang.
Lang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Scott
Yeah.
Lang, Taskmaster.
Scott Lang happens to be the real name of this version of Ant-Man.
Yes.
and
That message brought to you by Kyle.
and then also Venom and Carnage. So the issue
Wait,
here.
somebody wants credit for creating Carnage?
Listen, you leave
You
Marvel's
You leave
version-
Carnage alone.
You leave Marvel's version of the Joker alone.
Leave
okay?
Britney alone.
Leave
They're on this
Cassidy
one, bud.
alone.
And you know what? They followed the
First off,
typical.
his name is Cletus.
Cletus.
Cassidy.
His
Cletus
last name is
Cassidy.
Cassidy.
Cletus
I've only
Cassidy.
just whatever.
But they went
halfway
they
around.
went straight old school Marvel on that one too. They had to have the alliteration. Cletus Cassidy, Peter Parker, Victor
United
Von
States.
Doom. You know
Eddie Brock. No, that doesn't work.
that doesn't. What the heck
Wait
are
a
you
minute.
on?
Jean Grey, Scott Summers. We can just keep going.
Jean
Well,
Grey
Scott
is-
Summers works. That's 2 S's.
Jean Grey is JG.
Yeah,
It's
but
the
that was
sound,
always
dude.
the- it was
Alliteration
always
has
the
to do with
For
sound.
Stan.
Oh,
It was.
sound.
It was
Okay.
always the sound for Stan.
Well, it was also
wasn't
really the initials too.
Sue
Bruce
Storm.
Banner.
There you go.
The only one that didn't work was Steve Rogers. Well, actually, Stan didn't create Steve.
Stan didn't create Steve.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What now?
Stanley didn't create Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Mine straight up blown.
Blown.
And this is why we have to have the co-creator debate.
Oh, he co-created
No.
Steve?
No,
No,
but
Stan had nothing to do with Steve Rogers' conception. Well, Steve
mommy
Rogers
and
was
his daddy.
created in the 1940s.
You're right, yeah.
Stan wasn't working for Marvel till way later.
yeah.
Anyway, so the idea here is that Dave Michelini was explaining how he doesn't believe that those characters in particular, Scott Lang, Taskmaster, Venom, and Carnage, he used those as examples because, as far as he's concerned, he created those characters wholly and completely. Mainly because he came up with the ideas for what the characters are supposed to look like, who the characters were, what their backstories were, what their personalities were, and he turns in his script, and the artist draws what he has given them. Now the flip side to that is that he also said that there are characters out there that absolutely deserve a co-creator credit because the artist and writer sat together in a room and hashed out what they wanted this character to be as a team, what they envisioned this character as. So I'm opening it up to everybody else here. What are our takes on that?
There is, if an artist wants co-creator credit for it, the artist should have been responsible for the character's design conception. That's definitely an integral part of the character, as you need to see the character to know the character. The character can't just be a shadow that speaks every time that it comes on screen. Or on paper. It's very up in the air depending on the situation. You said he gave the artist what to draw by exact. Like if you're talking, was it like specific? Like I want him to be Scotty. He's got red, gray, black colors. He's got the Ant-Man helmet. It's
no, but the
for
Ant-Man
that's
design is different. But yeah, no, but for Scott Lang.
and Carnage.
Yeah, no. From what David Michelini said about Venom, and Venom and Carnage is that he detailed what he wanted the characters to look like. That was, and then and yes, Todd McFarlane brought, he drew the first version of Venom. Now the thing was that the idea is that from Marvel, back in the day.
I'm sorry. I'm imagining his descriptions of the two of them. Okay. All right. Here's what I want for Venom, man. I want him to look like Bane in the Black Spider-Man costume. Go. Here's Cletus Cassidy. I know, but I'm saying, just imagining the descriptions. Here's Cletus Cassidy. Okay, yeah, Cletus Cassidy. He's a criminal. I want him to be the Joker, but with red hair. Go.
I have no doubt that he probably sat down and he probably detailed what he wanted. He wanted a they already had the black costume. The black costume was a well-known staple of Spider-Man at that point in time. I mean, he was solely wearing the black costume at that point. And the thing was that you wanted the I can imagine that he would have explained that he wanted a bigger, muscular version of Spider-Man. He didn't want him to have like a straight covered face. He wanted him to have a mouth.
I think both.
Yeah, and
Yeah, in that regard, yeah, that would. If you're giving like integral character design.
Well, have you ever sat down with an artist and actually described something to them and had them draw it? it never comes out anywhere near what you're envisioning in your head, because the person who's drawing it has to be able to envision what you're telling them. And it takes a lot to get the translation back and forth between the two. I can totally see your argument for Venom and Carnage, and I know that you're big fans of both of them. I can absolutely say, yes, okay, he's the creator of those two.
Well, yeah, but here you go.
The Ant-Man one, though, it doesn't matter. Scott Lang is just, he's an interesting character, no doubt. I enjoy the character of Scott Lang, but the look of the character didn't vary that much from Hank Pym when he was wearing the same outfit.
Well, yeah, the costume in general, but the character of Scott Lang, like this thing, Scott Lang as a character,
right?
There's co-creator credit for, and the thing is that his point, like to Dave Michelini's point, if Dave Michelini hadn't, to quote him in the article, if he hadn't been born, if he hadn't worked for Marvel, they wouldn't have come up with Scott Lang. He came up with the character of Scott Lang. He came up with the guy who stole the Ant-Man suit to save his daughter. You know, so could they have maybe one day down the road, could there have been a writer that came up with another Ant-Man? Sure, but it wouldn't have been Scott Lang. Scott Lang wasn't a wasn't created by Marvel editorial.
Yeah, maybe I wasn't really clear on what I meant by that. What I meant was that you've definitely got the argument being made for the people that contributed the original artwork for Venom and for Carnage, because they were reliant upon it.
Yeah.
Scott Lang, you can definitely say, is totally his creation, because what Scott Lang looks like is irrelevant to the character. It's what the character does that matters.
Yeah.
Scott Lang could have been wearing a paper bag over his head for 50 issues, and that would have been just fine, because it didn't have any play at all with what the character did.
Now, to avoid this problem, just record every time you're creating a new character. Just record every conversation, so we have it, because that seems to be the biggest problem nowadays. A bunch of comic book, the writers and the artists, they'll get in arguments. I created him. No, I created him. I had co-creation.
Well, no, but you know what? Here you go. You know who's a great example of co-creatorship? The Siegel and Schuster. Siegel and Schuster, when they
were going to do Kane and Finger.
No, Kane and Finger is a terrible example of co-creatorship, because Kane robbed Finger of all that credit.
Well, yeah, because Kane created Batman and Finger created everything else, Bruce Wayne included.
All Kane came up with was the name.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all he came up with.
Okay, but take for example, let's go for something more like Conan. Okay, Conan was completely created off of the writing. Yep. What he was drawn as is far less relevant than what it was originally written as by Howard.
Well, yeah.
So you can't give a co-creator credit to the guy that first drew Conan.
No, but I think not. But novels are also slightly. It's a different vein. There's no one else collaborating with you on a novel.
But there's 50 years of comic book continuity versus two and a half, 3 books.
Are any
Conan?
of the artists
short stories
co-creatorship of Conan?
I don't know, but I'm sure that there's some that are trying to.
It's always been created by Robert E. Howard.
Right.
That's because it's not.
No artist is going to get co-creatorship of the character.
By the way, if you ever want to read an interesting biography, read about Howard. That guy had a really wild life. Didn't live very long. Prolific writer, massive racist.
Actually,
really interesting character.
If you if you ever watch the Jason Momoa Conan, if you ever have a chance to actually have it on disc or
I've watched it. I liked it.
Yeah, no. There's an actual featurette, the documentary about Robert E. Howard.
Yep.
And it's actually on that Blu-ray DVD.
Yep.
But yeah, so here you go. But here's where one of the big debates for the co-creator thing comes in, Kyle. So there's technically 3 co-creators for Carnage. This being because when Dave Michelini was writing Spider-Man, he created the character of Carnage. Mm-hmm. The artist who first drew Carnage, who has co-creatorship, all he drew was a silhouette. It was a one-panel silhouette of the character's head.
No, you've done nothing. Get out.
And no, but Marvel's policy, Marvel's the creator policy for Marvel is that the first writer and first artist to write and draw the character are the co-creators. He drew one panel, one silhouette, and he gets co-creatorship. Mark Bagley.
I say thee nay, sir. I say thee nay.
Mark Bagley, who was one of the premier Spider-Man artists of all time. All through the 90s, drew pretty much almost all of Ultimate Spider-Man. He was the first person to design the actual, or draw Carnage in his full attire. Which again, as far as David Michelini is concerned, he says he detailed what Carnage is supposed to look like.
You mean the symbiote suit?
And we'll take a pause in our programming now while we beat Steve to death. Referencing the new Venom movie, everybody and their brother should absolutely be appalled by the fact that they don't even cast an actress who's able to say the word symbiote. I say again, for those of you in the cheap seats, symbiote.
Moving on. But no, I think there's a lot of writers out there who they detail the certain things that they want about the character on the character. Taskmaster, yes, I'm sure, there were liberties taken with the design. But at the end of the day, I'm sure David Michelini said, hey, I want him to have a cloak, I want him to have a skull mask, I want him to have a sword.
I want him to be the super adaptoid of non-robots. Go.
He's the Amazo of the Marvel Universe.
He is the Amazo.
But he actually has a personality. It's great.
All right, so he's got a bow, and he's got a sword, and he's got a shield, and...
Justice League Unlimited, he also has a personality.
Taskmaster?
No, Amazo.
Their version of Amazo. And he's played by the Doctor from Voyager.
Yeah, I have a
And he
problem with
becomes
that.
a god.
A lot of Star Trek
Robert
Robert
Picardo? Robert Picardo, is that right?
Watch Gargoyles.
Robert Picardo? Is that right?
Gargoyles is literally any special guest character is a voice from any Star Trek.
Yep.
Worf plays Darkseid's kid. Oh my God, why is his...
Orion.
No.
Calibac.
There we
Or
go.
Caliban. Calibac?
Calabac.
Calibac.
Calibac.
Yeah.
In
Caliban's
Justice League
X-Men,
Unlimited.
right?
Right.
But yeah, no. So I mean, that's the thing.
Caliban's the mutant sniffer in X-Men. One of the Morlocks.
Yes.
He's the one who can
But
find the other
he's also the one
mutants.
who can get really big or really small. Like, no, there was times where he was like,
Yeah, he hulked out a
huge.
couple of times, more or less. But I think that had something to do with something that Apocalypse did to him.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
So I mean, let me see. What's your opinion on the co-creator debate?
I feel like it should be, because yes, even though you're sitting there and spewing out what you want, at the end of the day, I don't see you picking up an art tool and making it happen. You're relying on the artist to still do it.
That's a good point.
Like, that's how I very much look at it. Like, I mean, if that's the case, then you should do first written by or first drawn by and separate them that way. But at the end of the day,
but
you're giving me an idea, which is it's great, but you're not physically picking up the pencil or whatever and drawing it. Same way, like, I'm not writing it.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, the artist isn't going to have that idea in their head to draw it without any of that direction.
Well, they're going off of what is described to them.
Yeah, but
without having any actual picture being drawn for them.
Yeah, but Todd McFarlane, I mean, he wasn't going to. He didn't turn around and say, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to create this Venom character, and it's going to look like Spider-Man but huge." That was Dave Michelini telling him, "This is the character I'm going to write to fight
No,
Spider-Man."
because Todd McFarlane was too busy trying to figure out how to draw as many webs on any panel as possible, or as many chains in every book. I swear the guy got stuck in a Lowe's at some point in time in his life and was traumatized by it. Chains! We need chains! Chains and webs everywhere!
Really dusty.
On the side.
Apparently.
Webs.
No, but I
So
mean,
many cobwebs.
I feel that it's a partnership. Accept it. Move on.
No, again, they're
No, it's like a
It's not.
No, I'm being serious. There's instances where, yes, I will agree with you. There are times when a writer and artist will sit down and they will collaborate to create a character. They'll go back and forth and they'll decide what they want to do, but there are certain instances where the writer has detailed everything they want about the character, what they want the character to look like, and everything, and it's their creation. It's what they want.
That's also a good point.
But you got to bring it to life. You have to bring it to,
Yeah, but if you don't want his design, you technically at that point have jurisdiction over the character, and you can just say, no, do it again.
Veto.
But this is yes and no to that. Yes and no to that hard. But my next original point to this, though, You don't own anything. The companies own. You own nothing.
Well,
Like-
it depends on which studio you're talking about. Various different
yeah, but
studios.
they're-
Yeah, various different studios over the years
Yeah,
have
but
allowed
they're
people to own.
yeah,
their
but they're already
characters,
they were
yeah.
already giving out the creator
Right.
credits.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
But
that was the time when they were giving out the
I
creator
think
credits.
I think it's a valid argument. I think we've all argued for the fact that it is a valid argument to look at the concept that you have to have both to get the party done.
But at the same, it's not for us to decide, I guess.
Right. We're also
for-
not creating diddly squat right now.
yeah, we're literally just chasing our own.
Wait
tail.
for us to make our own big old comic company. We're gonna make. That'll be
October
we
Country
will
Comics.
October Country Comics.
Oh.
We'll record every creative session just to know who came up with what.
It would literally
We
just
have
be nothing but
evidence.
bleeps.
Our first our first
And then
villain
they bleep, bleep, bleep each other with the bleep.
our first villain needs to be like a combination of the Kingpin and the Joker. Which I threw out there because I'm betting that
physicality
of the
of
four.
Kingpin or
See,
the
that's what I was
Joker?
getting at. The four of us sitting here right now all had a different interpretation of what I meant by that.
Ah.
I'm a little too tired right now to think like that.
I'm going with a king gesture.
And the person who happens to be sitting here who is an artist had a different interpretation as well. So it's a word,
Yeah. Either way.
but I don't want to change the diapers. So what else you got?
So there we go, everybody. You can make your own decisions on how you feel about this. So the final piece of news here, guys, is the lineup was revealed for the new Birds of Prey movie.
I have to ask, is this confirmed? Are they like,
Yes.
yes,
This is
what we're doing.
this is the lineup for the movie right now. The characters as they stand are going to be Black Canary,
Okay.
Huntress,
Okay.
Renee Montoya,
Love it.
Okay.
Cassandra Cain,
Why?
All right.
and Harley Quinn.
Okay, stop. Wait.
Where's my
no.
hawk and dove?
Oh.
They were birds of prey.
They were birds of prey.
You know, Hawk was the only male character.
Only male character
I don't
ever to be a
know,
bird of
no.
prey.
Batman.
Look this up. There
What
are
was his
a
name?
couple of-
What was
oh,
it?
he was,
There was one other
it was
guy.
just- no, it was
Oh.
something master. It was one of the martial
Cat-
arts.
Judo Master.
Oh, Judo
Judo
Master.
Master.
Okay. I stand.
So the-
Wasn't Catman a member at one point?
No.
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 He's part of Villains United and all
That
that.
I knew.
Okay.
Really?
And you're
fun
thinking of
character.
your. Hold on. First
Yeah,
off, stop.
Catman was a lot of
No,
fun.
you're thinking of Wild.
No, I was thinking of Catman.
Oh, okay.
No, because he pops in a little.
Okay. Yeah, no, but the yes, the only two male characters to ever feature in Birds of Prey were Judo Master and Hawk from Hawk and
Where's my
Dove.
judo master in Rebirth? Come on, man, bring that back.
I don't even know who he is.
I don't either. Never heard of him
You just
before
like the name.
the time, but
He's
that's just- it
essentially
sounds like such a
Bruce
stupid
Lee
master.
with a costume.
Or stupid name.
So isn't that the same thing as like who's the guy from
He's another one of those. He's another one of those
he
characters
just
that was
popped in a
created.
Domino.
Well, he's another one of those
Shang-Chi?
creators that was created back in the 70s, and it was during the time of the blaxploitation films, and then you had all the different martial arts films, and then as all those things died out, they were starting to become popular in the comic book universes. And as they died out in the movie theaters, they kind of died out in the comic books too. So then you wind up with things like Power Man and Iron Fist hanging out together and becoming heroes for hire. Oh yeah!
That has to be the next Netflix series. But yes, moving back to the Birds of Prey, which by the way, I just have to point out that considering the original lineup of Birds of Prey,
Wait, wasn't it also confirmed before you move on that Lady Shiva was going to be in that film as well?
no,
I
that was a
think
speculation.
That's me
Oh.
speculating that
Okay.
she would be the villain.
I want. Okay, so read me the lineup again.
Black Canary, Huntress, Renee
Black
Montoya, Cassandra Cain, and Harley Quinn. Cassandra Cain was the assassin Batgirl.
Now is there? Yes, I remember Cassandra Cain quite well. I like
Okay.
Cassandra Cain. She was.
Well,
one of my
I
favorite
always-
Batgirls. I know how much Steve hates her, but she was one of my favorite
Let me
Batgirls.
reword this. I do not hate her. But for Birds of Prey, why are you not using Barbara?
Yeah.
Because we're gonna
Or
use.
Oracle.
Yeah, I'm upset about the fact that
Oracle
Barbara's not
was
on that
not
lineup
featured
right off the
in
bat.
that.
However, what I want to,
Barbara.
but what
Yeah,
I
but
want to
she-
ask, seriously, we are going to have Black Canary. Are we going to have Amy Schumer playing her? Because what I want to know is who the heck's playing these people. Because it doesn't matter who you've cast or who you've got as the characters if you don't have good casting. And if you've got Amy Schumer playing Black Canary, I quit. I'm not watching this
Why
thing.
would anyone? What? No.
No, I know what he's saying.
Her
You
whole
get what I'm
shtick
saying.
is her not having a good physique. Why would she then get a good physique?
No,
Skinny
you know-
Amanda
you know
Waller.
what?
That's all I'm saying, man.
Okay, so
This is the movie. This is the movie where we really have to. DC's got to get on the ball, and they got to do what they
You
did.
got to cast it right.
Well, no, and you know what? It doesn't even have to be people who we initially think are going to be good. It just has to be people who are going to fit the role. And I'm saying it right now. You know this is who I'm rooting for Huntress right now. Okay, I want it to be Lindsay Lohan because I want her to pull a Robert Downey Jr. with this movie.
But why is Huntress?
Why?
Yeah, why Helena?
She doesn't look anything
Not at
like
all.
Helena.
Not
Yeah.
at
All
all.
she's got to do is dye her hair.
I don't
and
think
honestly,
she can carry the role.
And honestly, how she acts in real life, Huntress is a train wreck in the comics.
Yeah, she's
Huntress
an
is a-
alcoholic
But
drug
you're talking about a woman whose best film was Herbie, for God's sakes.
Parent Trap.
No.
What's
Her-
wrong with the Parent Trap?
Herbie was
Freaky
better.
Friday?
Herbie was
Freaky
better.
Friday.
You know they've done another one?
No.
Yes, they did.
Yes.
They did
They made
too.
a third
There's
No, they
there's
didn't.
another Freaky
Yes,
Friday.
they
It's another
did.
relaunch. It's on Disney right now.
No. Is it a show or is it a movie?
Movie. Another
Oh,
movie.
TV movie?
Yep.
That doesn't count.
Lindsay Lohan's
It's
Freaky
still
Friday,
another
for those
Freaky
of you
Friday.
listening, wasn't even the first one.
Not even
It was the one
close.
before it.
Yeah, that was.
The original.
Somebody
Trap.
listened.
Right, and
We
the
were just
parent,
talking
Oh,
about
the
Parent Trap.
Parent Trap
No,
also.
but
Parent
that-
Oh,
Trap.
Freaky Friday. Yeah.
Haley Mills.
Same concept.
Yep.
Haley Mills was the original Parent Trap. She played both roles. Yep. Good stuff.
Like my thought process is like, give me a good actor, to play any of these people, and I think I'd rather have a Gotham City Siren movie first.
Well, I think DC has a real opportunity right here because this is one of these things.
First, superpowered
Female team. Who has done a good female superhero movie at this point in time? Now, by the time this comes out, you've got the chance that Captain Marvel will have been good. But right now, nobody. There hasn't been a.
It was well received.
It was well received, but it wasn't that good.
But you know what?
I liked it.
I did like it, but
the
it wasn't
ending
that
special
good.
effects were literally like my main gripe with it. Other than
Yeah.
that, I
Yeah.
thought it was a very serviceable and one of my favorite DC movies that have
I,
come out.
I
will,
thought it
no,
was-
I will give you serviceable. I totally will. But it's not. You weren't wowed by it. You didn't go, man, this is the greatest thing. I want to buy it right
It
the heck
did
now.
break the
I want to
ground,
play it again
Yeah, but
and
you know,
again
but here's the thing.
and
You
again.
know, hold on. Stop for a second. Okay, I will give Wonder Woman this. Okay, because I'm in the same camp. I thought Wonder Woman was an okay movie. It was an okay Marvel style movie.
Right.
It wasn't a groundbreaking Marvel style movie. And I say that because much like the Marvel movies, it
I'm
actually
saying-
used primary colors.
Well, yeah, when I say groundbreaking,
That's
I'm
true,
saying,
actually.
like breaking, as in this is our first female superhero movie in this new age
That
of,
wasn't garbage.
in this new age of that wasn't garbage.
That was not garbage.
Yeah, that was not garbage. Referencing.
What do you?
Gee,
I'm saying in this new age at least
Okay.
of superhero movies, starting from Marvel, even going a little further back to the X-Men.
Well,
Yeah, but there's
But-
nothing. But
Alexa.
how many female?
Yeah, but how many of them did they actually?
After that,
No,
No,
Electra was-
Electra's before that. All right, hey. So,
No, I actually
but
like
just
Electra.
but just look at this just for a second. How many of those great female characters that you've seen in any of the different movies have they used as a springboard platform for giving them their own flick? I mean,
How long
come
did
on.
it take
How
to-
how horribly have they missed the mark with things like Black Widow?
of course not. They just got a director for that.
Well,
I know.
That's what bothers
I know.
me, because
Yeah.
Black Widow should have been the first thing. Like,
They should have been making the Black Widow movie after
They
Iron
did.
Man 2. After Iron Man 2, they should have.
At least,
I
at least
wonder
after the first Avengers
Yeah.
movie.
Right.
because that's what doesn't make sense. Because like,
And I don't even like Scarlett Johansson. Just the character's good.
I'm-
It's well written. They've been doing good work with it.
I'm all
Why
about
not?
Marvel, but when you look at that Marvel universe,
Oh, it's,
Widow deserved it first.
and just because of the fact that we mentioned Widow, if you're not reading Punisher right now, you are totally missing out. Widow in that is fantastic. Fantastic. It is primetime Widow material in the most recent couple of books.
Her Infinity Countdown issue
was a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, it's a great book.
But you know,
great book.
We're spiraling.
Yeah, but
Sorry,
no, again,
but-
to Kyle's point though, yes, there hasn't been a large amount of female-led superhero movies.
Yeah.
Especially, there's never been a female-led team of superhero
Correct.
movies.
That
And
did well
right.
because technically we can't argue Sucker Punch.
Get Out.
No, I'm being
No.
serious though.
How is that? That's not even a comic book movie. That's not anything. That was just a.
Yeah, but
Yeah, you need. Yeah, boy, this one's weird for me, but you need
I'm not looking forward to it.
To
I'm,
what?
I'm looking forward to it in the fact that, like, okay, yeah, we do have like a female like superhero team coming out. That's cool, but it's like Justice League was my last faith in DC superhero.
Yeah, see, and that's
like, that was it.
I'm completely with you.
And
I'm
I'm
not
a DC
looking forward
fan.
to
I'm a
it.
huge DC fan, but I'm not. I have a theory that Warner Brothers knows Aquaman is going to suck because they are promoting Shazam, and Shazam doesn't come out till next year. Aquaman's coming in less than 5 months, and there's no teaser, no trailer. We just got a poster. That's all we've got so far.
We have a trailer on Friday.
They're going to underpromote the crap out of this.
Well, don't
and
forget.
it's gonna-
Well,
they know.
well,
nobody's gonna want
he's
it.
their Wolverine.
What do you mean he's going to Wolverine?
He's their Wolverine. That was the original when they promoted the original lineup for Justice League. That was Zack Snyder's promotion for the character. He said Aquaman is going to be our Wolverine.
That man needs to be stopped. Like, just in general.
He's been stopped.
In a very unfortunate and horrible
Yes,
way.
yes, but
let's preface that right
Yes,
now.
yeah, no,
he ripped from this timeline.
But yeah, no, yes, Zack Snyder. Listen. You did it.
Send our condolences.
You did a great job with 300.
Yeah, I'll
You
give
did
that.
a decent
But
job.
but to Will's point, I agree with him. I'm also a big DC fan, have been for years.
Yeah.
But I'm hurt by the concept of trying to go see another DC movie, and I really hope they get this right because I know
another film they're shoving. This is one of all of the films
But-
they have slated right now
All right.
have Harley Quinn in the involvement in somehow.
Yes.
Yes,
by the
and-
time
and
this
I
comes
find that
out,
to be
the
unfortunate.
Harley Quinn video that we made is probably going to be out. I'm probably going to upload that first so that it'll be linked somewhere on screen or in the description that you can check out of us talking about the problem that has arisen with Harley Quinn's involvement in
Fandom.
DC in
Or-
general.
well, you
But
can debate the.
problem is every DC, especially Batman related film, has Harley Quinn in it at some degree.
well,
The
she's
Joker and Harley Quinn.
she's no, hold on. She's DC's Wolverine.
Yeah, but you know
Let's
what?
put her in
That's what
everything.
they're
No,
gonna do.
she's
Except
no,
for
she's
the-
technically
No, she's their Wolverine.
because they're making
Put her
an
in
old
everything.
Lady
Deadpool.
Harley.
Yeah.
No.
she's
Making it
technically
old lady Harley.
she's
Hold on,
always
though.
been their they've been billing her as their Deadpool.
But hold on, though. Will, you
It's
brought
worse.
up Gotham City Sirens. Harley was always part of Gotham City Sirens.
That's true. That's a movie I could get behind. But I
Yeah.
hate the fact that they're making a Joker movie and a Joker and Harley Quinn movie. Make a Batman movie where they're the villains. Why did they... What? They're not protagonist material. They're villains. That's why they work.
I think at this point in time, DC needs to just take a nice little pause. And, everybody's talked about the idea of taking their animation department and putting them in charge of a real movie
Yeah.
and letting them do a
Yes.
real one and see what happens. But DC should just take a pause on all these different projects and get one right for once. Just get one right. And let's see what they can do with it. But I know a number of people that
They'll
would love...
shove it down your throat because that's
Yeah.
what they do. Anything you say that's minorly good with their thing, they'll shove it down your throat. They're like, you love it, you must want more.
But I know a lot of people in my life, and I know you've probably got a few in yours that would really appreciate DC being the first, breaking a little bit of ground,
I'd be okay with
having a
that.
good movie with all these strong female
If it
characters.
happens.
Because, if they could do that, that would be fantastic, and it might be, their saving grace when it comes to the movie universe right now, because their movie universe sucks.
Well,
I'm sorry, there's no ifs, ands, or
Oh
buts.
no, that's
Their movie
Yes, it
universe
is very
sucks.
piss-poor.
Their animated universe is
brilliant.
outstanding.
Oh, it's amazing. Every version of it, because technically there's like a couple if you count the movie timelines.
Right.
Because there's the TV shows and then
Right.
there's the animated films, and it's
Whereas Marvel
brilliant.
can't get the animated right at all.
No, they haven't even attempted to in a while.
They
right now
do it.
they have the Disney XD shows,
Yeah.
but I haven't heard of a single animated film coming out of
The
there.
XDs,
in a
the XD
while.
shows don't have anything to do at all with the MCU. They're all broken off from it in one way or another. If you
Yeah,
go
the
watch them.
The
They're
Avengers
broken.
show literally follows the timeline of the MCU up to the first Avengers
Yep.
movie, and then Falcon joins the team and it splinters off.
Right.
In its own timeline. It's so
And,
weird.
and he's
I can't
Falcon.
believe we
He's
canceled Earth
Falcon
Mightiest
that
Heroes
shows,
for
but
that.
he's Falcon that shows up, and then all of a sudden he's just powered by nothing but Stark Tech because he's a Shield agent. It's like, but why are we ruining this character?
Yeah.
Falcon was a great character.
Yeah, he's
Part of the
not a
reason I
nerd.
didn't want him
He's
to be
like-
Captain America because he was a great character on his own. Always was.
It's just
Nah.
Well, but again, then that's the problem with the DC movies is that and here's one of the biggest problems with the DC movies, or Warner Brothers in general, which is the only franchise or the only character they've ever had that's sold well repeatedly is Batman.
I'm Batman.
So the thing is, the problem is that we have
They can't even get one Batman movie off the ground at this point. Now they're just having a bunch of Harley Quinn movies.
well, it's the thing. We have. I mean, look at the original Injustice. That going back to the original Injustice, what did Warner Brothers do to that game? They turned around and they made sure that Ed Boon had 3/4 of the cast of that game was Batman characters.
I don't think that was their decision, though. Warner Brothers was like, make it bad. I think that's just because it sold the game. They knew that.
Yeah,
that's
but that's
what's
the
going to
thing.
be the sell. That's why Joker is in Injustice 2. They needed a plot point for him to show up, so he shows up for one fight in Injustice 2.
I'm Batman.
He shows up for one fight in Injustice 2, and it's a hallucination because he's dead in the universe, and they don't do any universe crossing in that game. But he's there. But he had to be in the game because he's a selling point. People weren't going to buy it if it was.
But that's
without
their
Joker,
mentality
which is
for their.
dumb,
but that's their mentality for their movies too.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the thing is that
No
there's
one's gonna go see it if Margot Robbie isn't in it because all of you women love cosplaying as Harley Quinn and all you dudes love cosplaying as the Joker. It gets you so many followers and you must love Leto and Robbie. We're gonna shove them down your throats. We're gonna make so many movies and it's gonna be great. They're just gonna be the protagonists of every. You don't even need Leto's Joker now. Joaquin Phoenix is gonna play one of him in one of the movies.
Get that man a Ritalin.
I'm sorry. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Who's playing him?
Joaquin Phoenix.
You mean
he added
Joaquin?
Joaquin.
It's Joaquin, right? Isn't that if you?
Jacqueline.
Jacqueline Smith's playing the Joker.
Nice.
Yeah.
Aren't you
At
the
this
guy?
point-
Excuse me, aren't you the guy who wanted to go to Jotunheim earlier? So
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Shush.
Hey, I'm at least I'm consistent with my mispronunciation.
Right.
Hey, look, it looks like Joaquin.
Anyway.
You also drive the no-go.
But
Hey, you leave my Nova alone.
coming back
Oh.
to the cast itself, do
For
you
this-
have the list written down?
No, there's no
There's
cast.
no cast.
Or
Yeah.
the cat.
Yeah,
the
we got
lineup.
it's
So
yeah.
it's Black Canary.
Yes.
I'm excited to see her.
course
The
you are.
introduction of her. Yeah. Yeah.
What about a little Lady Blackhawk, man? What's up with that? Why don't we have her?
Well, they're having Spielberg is making the Black Hawk movie.
That
What?
hypocrite.
Did you not know that?
No, I did not
He's
know that.
making a Black Hawk movie. Yes.
Right before he said that he
Right
after.
after
Come on, man.
said
After he said superhero comics will go the way of the Western and die
Well,
horribly.
but hold on. In his defense, just really quickly, based off the guy's history, he loves World War II anything.
yeah.
So if you gave him the opportunity to do something that's kind of a hero movie, but not really, because it's not really a superhero thing. Blackhawks aren't superheroes.
He was like, sure, I'll make a movie about him, and I mean, like, all right, I'll check it out. It's Spielberg. That'll
Hey,
be
it's
very
Spielberg. Let's
interesting.
give him a lot of money and
I
go
haven't
play in the World
heard
War II sandbox.
of a
Probably be good.
director at like Spielberg level going, I want to make a comic book movie.
Well, I mean that's
very interesting.
It's all real great how a lot of these people are all talking about comic book related movies, and then all of a sudden we decide that because we're getting. No, like here we go, Steve. Your girl there, Jodie Foster. She came out vehemently against any comic book related movie, and now I hear and now she's accepting the role for Y the Last Man.
Yeah.
Well, that's only comic book in the
it's in the loosest sense. It's a comic book. It's
I read it more as a graphic novel.
That I was going to say I would totally read that
but
as a
still,
graphic novel. I know it was published as a comic, but still, yeah.
What was it? People wanted Charlie Hunnam.
Such a good.
Was that his last
Hunnam.
name?
Charlie
Hunnam.
Hunnam from
Sons of Anarchy.
Sons of Anarchy.
And the really
They wanted
bad
him.
Guy Ritchie King Arthur movie.
That's the
Oh,
thing.
whoa.
Everybody was asking if he was going to play him because everybody wanted him to, and he was like, no, I haven't heard it. I heard all the DC movies suck. I'm not doing anything. King Arthur comes out. DC, give me a call whenever you feel like having me over as Green Arrow. Yeah, I'm down. Whatever.
I would fully support that, man.
King Arthur comes out and bombs. Yeah, he's like, all right, yeah, sure, I'll take the DC job.
Yeah,
Whatever.
he needs something now.
It pays good
Because-
money.
It was layer cake King Arthur. I mean, it was just ugh.
But yes,
And I liked
wanna
Layer
see-
Cake.
I want to see Green Arrow too, so that could lead into a Green Arrow property, so Black Canary would be a good springboard off of that. Huntress, yes, she's also an integral part of the Birds of Prey, so I'm excited to see what
I don't
she
think
does
that word
and how that-
you're using it means what you think it
almost
means.
want
What?
Integral.
I almost want Amy Acker to just play Huntress.
Ah, nice.
Just because she voiced
Nice,
her.
nice.
And Amy
She's
Acker,
a little
like,
old now though
yeah,
for it.
you know what? Maybe bring some salt, and like maybe bring some aged actors.
Yeah, but I don't.
Nathan
Amy.
Fillion.
I'm not saying she's aged. I'm just saying
no.
Huntress is a really young character though.
Yeah, but Huntress is also.
I'm
I
not
mean,
bashing Amy Acker.
don't get me wrong. I really like Amy Acker, but Amy Acker's a small person.
What if it-
Like her, she's not like short or anything. But
Helena
she,
isn't like a beast. She's
No,
not
but
8'2" and
no. I'm
500
not
pounds.
talking about. I'm not talking about height wise. I'm talking about
It's
frame wise.
It's gonna be
Amy Acker's a
better.
pretty
Actually,
small
no, I can't
person.
say that 'cause I
Yeah.
really love the Arrow
Huntress
version.
isn't-
The Arrow
she's
version of
not-
Huntress
was
actually
actually really good.
Helena's not that big of a woman.
That was in the
No, but
the
Helen
first
still got
Arrow
some
that was,
muscle
like,
to her.
sick.
Yeah, but okay, but compare her to Bruce.
You know
Okay,
why she left that show?
but wait, Bruce.
Rain.
Hey, help me out.
She left that show to go do Dracula with beautiful eyebrows, Jonathan Rhys-Meyers.
Nice.
Hey, help me out with that real quick. Huntress compared to Bruce when you're talking about in the comics.
Which
You've
one?
got Bruce Wayne,
No, which Huntress?
the Helena
Wayne
Huntress,
or Bertinelli?
Bernelli.
Okay.
Okay, so you're looking at she's a little bit shorter than he is. Obviously, he's listed at 6'2" and 210, I think, right now in the DC universe. She's a little bit shorter and obviously slighter in build because he is supposed to be a linebacker, basically. You know, height-weight ratio. He's considered to be one of the world's foremost.
I think she's supposed to just be like.
Yeah, she's. I was gonna say, I think she's like 5'7", 5'8", something like that, and maybe 145, 160, someplace in that general area. So yeah,
Yeah, but
it
Helena.
was-
But I'm saying it's Helena Bertinelli is also she's got some tone to her.
So?
Amy Acker is she's
so
a
they took
stick.
Chris Pratt and turned him into Star-Lord.
Yeah, but that was just okay, but that was also they just had to cut the fat off of him.
He wasn't.
He was already a big dude.
He didn't have a lot of muscle on him though.
Yeah.
And he said that he didn't have a lot of
I
muscle on
also
him.
just want
Here you
to
go,
say
Amy. Lift some weights for a couple of months.
I also want to be one of the few people
Yeah.
to Chris Pratt go back and eat an emergency cheeseburger. Go back to being hefty.
They made jokes about that in Infinity.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, that he's one cheeseburger away from.
So, according to Wiki, Helena Bertinelli is 5'11".
Okay, that's taller than I expected.
I thought Black Canary was.
Still a few inches
I
short.
think Black Canary is taller. They said Black Canary 6 foot.
No way.
I thought Canary was
Jeez.
higher.
Unless it's just the heels.
Yeah, he heels the boots.
But you have so you have Canary, you have Huntress. Who else do we have?
Margot Robbie is Harley Quinn.
Margot Robbie,
We got-
Black Canary too.
Renee Montoya.
Renee Montoya. Okay, I don't have a lot of experience with characters, so I
Interesting.
can't really.
Renee.
Very shorter. Yeah, right.
5'7".
5'7".
Renee Montoya is a fantastic
Wasn't she the
character.
question for a little while?
Yes, which
Yes.
is what I'm hoping they do.
I have more experience with the male question, and I really liked his character.
She
So
was pretty good as the question. I
Renee-
have to
Renee
say.
Montoya's
I found
also-
her
She had a
interesting.
fun. She had a fun run.
Yeah,
as
she had a
the
fun
question.
run as the question.
Renee Montoya is also one of the most popular Gotham City detectives
Yeah.
next to
Her and Bullock.
Her and Bullock.
Yep. Her and Harvey Bullock are the two most popular Gotham City detectives.
Yep. And I want fat slovenly Harvey
Oh
Bullock.
my
Anytime
God,
I see
right.
Harvey Bullock, he needs to have food on his trench
And he better
coat.
look dirty
Yeah,
as hell.
yes, exactly. Hasn't shaved in a
Oh
month.
my God! Like I can smell it before I see it.
Right. You know that when he takes his coat off, it stands up on its own.
Yeah.
I was always disappointed we never got a
Living out
Harvey
of his
Bullock in the
car.
Nolan movies.
Yeah, that's true.
Like that universe should have had a Harvey Bullock.
No, I actually thought we did for a minute. I think it's the second one where you meet.
Holt from Angel.
Yes, thank you. I could not think of his name. And that
I don't know what his real name is, but
I
yeah,
thought
Holt
that
from Angel.
I thought that he was supposed to be Harvey, and then I IMDb'd it, and I was like, "Oh, that was depressing as hell."
Yeah, no, he was just the random
Yeah, I
cop to
thought-
springboard off Gordon.
Yeah, I really thought he was.
But to continue with the cast list,
Cassandra Cain.
Cassandra Cain. Okay, her over Barbara
Well, that's what I'm wondering
is
because
a really weird choice.
Yeah, it's weird to have Cassandra over
Yeah.
Barbara. Barbara makes more sense with
And
anything,
even-
anything Birds of Prey, unless they're intended to do it as like a big backdoor. Hey, oh by the way, Oracle's also in this.
I mean, that would be a pretty fun thing to sit there and
Well,
be like,
I mean,
who's this person
Right.
bringing them together?
Yeah,
Right.
And find out
right,
the last
right.
5 minutes of the movie.
But you know what?
Yeah. By the way, my name's Barbara.
Yeah, but you know what though? The other thing too is it also tracks with the other.
Plots.
That'd be cool.
It also tracks with the other rumor we talked about last week about the fact that Batgirl is going to be in the movie, but she's not going to be in a Batgirl costume. Cassandra was Batgirl in the comics.
Ooh.
But also they're saving Barbara because they still want to do the solo Batgirl film.
Which is fine.
We could call that movie "Saving Barbara." Yeah, all right.
Saving Barbara.
Unless we're really just going to straight up just put Barbara in the Joaquin Phoenix movie
Jesus, don't
They
even.
could.
and just make it. He already said it's going to be a Killing Joke.
The last
Yeah,
one.
it's a killing joke without Barbara.
The last one.
You know what, man? They've already done Killing Joke. Why are they redoing it?
So, Will, I mean, what were your last thoughts on the
Skipping over Harley because my opinions will be explained in
Reposted.
the outtake video.
Harley
Okay.
Quinn is the devil.
Let's see what they go from this. I'm obviously gonna see it. I'm gonna see every movie that DC and Marvel publishes. I'm gonna see what they do, what they can do, but I'm not holding my hopes up high anymore.
I will say this, like, listen, I will be there for the DC movie reboot. I can't. I'm out. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I can't.
I think the only reason why you even saw Wonder Woman was because it was part of like the 2 movies for whatever at the.
I was at the drive-in. Yeah,
Yeah.
I got to see that, and I forgot what the other movie was.
Oh, I
But-
think it was the Mummy.
Yes,
Because
Yes.
I remember you asked me.
Ouch.
You know what
You
I-
paid for that?
I like that
Not
movie.
the Tom
I
Cruise
saw-
one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Tom
no,
Cruise
he's
one.
got to be in the Tom
Alright.
Cruise one.
Yeah, no. But again, I'm done with the DC movies. I can't do it. I cannot do whatever it is they're trying to do anymore. They don't know what they're doing. They confuse their directors and writers to the point where they're on their 4th director for the Flash and they haven't even found one yet.
I thought they canceled that already.
I thought they did too.
Who knows?
Let's just cancel it.
But anyway.
Seriously, yeah, that's where I'm at. Cancel everything right now. Let's get it fixed and then get it off the ground right.
You know, keep Gail Gadot as Wonder Woman and scrap everyone else.
I mean, most of the actors.
What, you don't like Batfleck?
No, I actually don't mind him, but I don't feel like we're gonna have him for much longer
No.
because he keeps
His
whining.
involvement is like, he out of everybody else, if you think about it, he's kind of the only one that's like, let me go.
No, Henry Cavill,
Is Henry Cavill like-
hardcore, let me go,
Oh.
and which is fine because
Just replace him with Superboy and
That's
Nightwing.
fine.
Superboy and Nightwing.
No, could we totally get me like '90s Superboy?
I mean, here's my other.
Leather jacket, undercut.
Listen, the best casting for Superman that's ever been is Christopher Reeve. Christopher Reeve is the only person who's ever walked on screen and made me believe that he was either Clark Kent or Superman. Okay, if you ever get a chance, Will or Steve,
I watched him.
have you watched the Richard Donner version of Superman 2?
Is that the one where like she shoots him in the head
Yes.
and he doesn't die?
Yeah. There's a version of Superman where he's dressed in a suit, him and Lois are getting ready to go out, and she's convinced he's Superman. So, in the Richard Donner version of Superman 2, she pulls a gun out, looks at him, and says, I'm going to shoot you. And I'm 100% sure you're Superman, and it's not going to kill you. And he's doing his normal Clark Kent, freaking out, like, oh, gee, gosh, Lois, don't do it. And she shoots him. And in full Clark Kent attire, he completely changes his entire demeanor and becomes Superman. That's how great Christopher Reeve was. And there's been no one else who's been able to do that.
You know who did it to a lesser degree, and he was an interesting casting choice when they first threw him in there. No, but in Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman.
Dean Cain, but
Dean
Dean
did a
Cain,
pretty good
yeah.
job. He did a pretty good job, and Terry Hatcher
Was a brilliant one.
Oh,
God, she was
yeah.
a great Lois.
Well, Terry Hatcher's probably the best Lois.
Yeah,
Hands down,
I
hands down,
think
the
that's
absolute
a pretty
best.
good argument. I think it's a pretty
What?
good argument. There's
Who's
another
who's a
couple
better
of
Lois?
possibilities.
Janet Delaney.
Voice. He's talking voice.
Okay.
Voice actress for
But yeah,
Peggy
Dean-
and Delaney.
I thought Dean was really good.
Yeah,
I really
no,
enjoyed Dean.
I love that show. I wish that show didn't end on a cliffhanger, but I
Well,
love that
David
show.
Lynch
Yeah.
or they both just ended the other day.
And they're both on Supergirl. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind
A
of
few
fun.
months ago, they both
Yeah, he
hinted
plays.
her father.
He's Supergirl's adopted
Her
father on
and
Earth,
she plays
and she's
Mon-El's
one of
mother.
the Mon-El's mother.
Well,
And
listen.
then the original Supergirl is her adopted mother.
Adopted
Hey, you
mother.
know what?
yeah.
And honestly,
Helen Slater.
I love that.
yeah, but you know what? And here's the thing. As
Billie
far
Jean, the Ballad of Billie Jean.
Love that.
Oh, there's a
Legend of
movie, The Legend of Billie Jean, baby.
and honestly, you know what? And it's not like either of them look too shabby nowadays anyway.
No,
Terry Hatcher really has
Dean could be playing the role. He
Yeah.
could do Kingdom Come Superman.
He looks
easily.
Yeah.
delightful.
Yeah.
He's very delicious
Yep.
looking.
Yep.
And
He's done a
Terry
ton.
Hatcher is just amazing.
Oh,
Sorry.
the way that
That woman
woman is
could just-
aged is
That
incredible.
woman could just act me the phone book and I'd be like amazed.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I mean, honestly, those for me, that's who. You know, Superman is always gonna be Christopher Reeve, and Lois Lane is always gonna be Terry Hatcher. Those are the two best versions of those characters.
Yeah, because unfortunately, later life, Margot Kidder just kind of ruined the image of Lois
I mean,
Lane.
listen,
she wasn't that good of a Lois Lane.
No, Margot Kidder in the
She
movie.
was the one opposite
Christopher Reeve.
Yeah.
Margot Kidder,
I
but
didn't
she,
think she was that good.
well, she was kind of an annoying Lois. She
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
Well, she was the original annoying Lois. The original comic?
I don't know. You can go back to the old stuff. Lois was an interesting character in a lot of different times. Yeah.
but I don't really care for Amy Adams all that much. I don't think she's,
No.
you know, but yeah, that's I mean,
Everything.
that's everything. That's all we got. I mean, you know,
We did it. We made it through.
we made it through another
We started
podcast.
off really strong.
We did.
Good
We
timing.
trailed off a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh
Trail.
my God, we're at
2 hours.
2 hours
I knew
27
it.
minutes. I'm estimating. Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
What did we go off on that far?
Tangent.
It started, yeah, it really started with RoboCop.
Yeah, RoboCop I think was the worst of it. There was another one I think, but yeah.
Probably RoboCop and Birds of Prey were probably the worst.
Yeah.
So why don't we get our sign off in here?
Yep.
Make it
All right, guys,
real
well-
quick with this stuff.
Yeah, well, all right, everybody. Well, this has been another exciting podcast. You know, thank you for tuning into. Come on, guys,
We
together.
were gonna do our names first.
No. All right, fine. You know, this is Devon.
I'm Will.
Steven.
And I'm still Kyle.
All right, and this is.
Glad that hasn't changed.
Proud of you. Need it.
Thank you for watching, for listening to
Yeah.
the October Country Podcast.
Steven! It just sounds weird if we all say it. I'm sorry.
Participate. We have to do it again now.
We have to do it again. Come
No,
on.
we don't.
All right. Thanks, folks.